man, it always catches me when I'm trying to hop on another platform. So I be trying not to have an echo or anything of that nature. But what's good, family? We back again Wednesday night, Family Bloodline Podcast. Oh, Deuce, I see you, man. You let me put you up in a different frame, bro. You got the hair done different.
Hey, yo, I had to go. You know how it is, man. Sometimes the relationship with your established barber, it comes to a natural end, right? Because they change and they want to do things differently. They want to spray you with that hairline. It's not what I
Oh,
want. They didn't have consent, so I had to find a new cat, man. I'm going into the Dominicans now, bro.
Oh, word.
Yeah, yeah, they doing your boy right
Okay, then,
and cheaper.
even better,
Yeah,
even better. All right, makes sense. Makes sense. I'm trying to check all of my
make sure the Instagram and all that.
making sure
We
I'm.
got those codes up. Yeah.
Every time I go live on Insta, it freezes up, but I know I'm live. It's a weird thing. I don't know.
Instagram doesn't want people streaming to them. That's what that tells me.
Yeah,
You know. So
yeah, but they finna get this stream. That's what's gonna happen. They're gonna get these streams. I'm still gonna try to work it out with
uh
what's this other one? It's a fan base. I'm gonna still try and figure that out and work. I
man,
know.
I don't know, man. I don't know if that's. I know it's for the. I know it's for us.
Yeah.
You know what? Let me read into it more. I got to go back and research it some more before I say anything. Let me not speak out of ignorance.
No, I don't think you're speaking out of ignorance. I'm having some issues too. Manny, what's up, bro? Yeah, yeah. Every time my man said, every time I'm gonna call you, I'm live. That's the we getting there. We getting there. We getting there. So, fellas, how has your day or weeks been thus far? Let's hit that real quick, starting with you dudes, because we know Rich ain't gonna be long at all.
Rich ain't gonna say nothing, man. Listen, man. I pulled over. I'm on this road trip heading from Bama back to Virginia. So I'm in. I don't know where I'm at. What state? I'm at somebody gas station with the Arby's. So so I'm at right now, so I can and sign in and talk to the masses, man, and see my two favorite brothers, man.
For sure, for sure, for sure. How long were you at home?
That was a quick turnaround, man. I got in, what was it, Sunday, Saturday, and I'm back on the road now.
Oh, okay. How long is that trip?
10, 11 hours.
Oh wow, you
Yeah,
killing it.
yeah.
All
Hey,
right.
but the car's giving me 34 miles a gallon, man, so I'm not mad at all.
I feel that.
Yeah,
I, I thought I didn't know it was as far as what it is. Dang.
yeah, it's a hike. And I have to go, it's taking me through West Virginia. I kind of go up and then come down. It's like the quickest route.
Yeah, yeah,
It's crazy.
yeah,
Instead of just going straight through North Carolina and South Carolina, etc.
yeah. What is that about? Why is that?
And Google we trust.
Man,
Google says it's shorter. I click both routes. It looks shorter. I said, okay.
did you actually check that yourself or
No, I ain't checking. You know what? I didn't think about Apple Maps or any other site. To the naked eye, it doesn't look like it's shorter. It's going up to go down. The other route, taking 20 down, 95, just makes more sense. But hey,
okay, well, as long as you get there safe.
that's the main thing.
Yeah, that's what matters, man. As long as you get there safe.
Deuce and I will get his real name off air,
Oh,
having
yeah.
dinner at a place somewhere in LA. I already
Hmm.
know the place.
Okay.
So
Y'all let me know when y'all do that. Y'all let me know when y'all do that. I
once you situated and everything, let's just say it's nothing spectacular.
Hmm.
It's close to the ocean.
Oh,
I know
nice.
the place. I know the place.
Nice. Yeah, and I got
I've
to
never
take some
been
trips up
there,
to Sacktown.
but huh?
So I got to take some trips up to Sacktown.
Ain't much up here. If you come to Sacktown, we're going to the Bay. You know,
Hey, I like that. I know the Bay.
we're going to the Bay, San Francisco. Or I've never been to Napa.
Oh,
You know,
oh, hey, now
but
we could do that. Napa's nice, bro.
yeah, because there's wineries up here east of Sacramento.
Y'all better talk about it now. Come on, speak about it.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
wineries up here. So California, look, we're I'm from Missouri.
Mhm.
It's the South, last state to enter the Union as a slave state.
Mm.
Wise. But
Oops.
California is the most, in my mind, the most beautiful state in the nation. It
Mhm.
really is. It doesn't have the perfect blue water like Florida, but it
Mm.
has the whole coast
Yeah.
from Southern California to the central. Well, the coast is not in central, but you go up the coast, and there's so many beautiful areas. And so Napa gets all the credit for the winery, but there's other wine uh, businesses, wineries outside of Sacramento. There's more
Hmm.
than outside of Napa. It's just beautiful, and
Facts.
it's really stunning. Yeah. So like my birthday on Sunday, I got to go to I go to a little spot in the Bay, and I always see the Golden Gate Bridge, and so you can look at the ocean in the north in San Francisco, or you can look at it down in LA or in San Diego, or you can go further north to look at the ocean.
Yeah, I like
So,
Crescent City. Crescent City
you
was
know,
beautiful up there.
oh, I've been to Crescent City.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
I've
nice.
been to Crescent City, and it's different up there.
let me
Yeah,
throw this up.
completely different.
Yeah, Crescent City's way up there too, because when I rode with some people from the Union when I was going to the prison up there, boy,
Yeah.
that's a drive.
Shout out to my man Danny V on selling out shows uh, here recently, and they are about to head north. As a matter of fact, to do some more shows. That's another segment of the Family Bloodline podcast when we're talking about music. I did an interview with Danny a while.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. So
Nice,
Yeah,
nice, nice.
and I'm looking on your family bloodline page to see if we're going. I can't. Sometimes Facebook is weird.
yeah, it
Like
is.
I'm trying to see it on my phone and I can't.
Yeah, I wasn't able to do that at times either.
Yeah, but all the other times I've been able to. That's weird.
And they also kind of
Oh, here it
like
is. Here it
it,
is.
they censor. They look for words and they censor what I put in. And
Okay.
so, like, since I have assassinations in the title,
Oh
uh,
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, they give me a hard time, but I'm not finna allow these motherfuckers to censor me like that. They can kiss my ass.
But
Oh,
you're talking about all the political violence that's been happening for the last couple of years.
mm-hmm.
So you're no different than a news agency or the news media.
And that's exactly right. I
Yeah.
don't
But you're
understand.
not promoting it or anything like that. You're just saying, hey,
This is what we're talking about because this is
Hmm.
what's happening around the country.
yeah.
So
So the latest guy, the guy in Minnesota, you kill two people, and then you try to kill the other two people, state senators, the husband, the woman. Oh gosh, I want to say Hortman, her and her husband. They died from this man's assassination or murder.
Hmm.
And the other two people, I believe he was a state senator, Hoffman. Now him and his wife, they went to the hospital. They survived.
Polar, yeah, yeah.
So it's I don't know.
I don't either. But since you already took it there, I was going to ask how things have been with you this week. But you pushed forward on us.
Yeah. Look, sometimes when people are trying to really beat you down, this is when you really find out about your faith. So it's easy to sing the songs and all that about having faith, but until you've been battle tested, you don't know. And so I'll leave it at that. but I am battle tested. So
Yeah, and that's part of it. I don't want to. I won't speak on anything that you got going on, but that's a great way to put that. It's
oh,
good.
and real quick
Yeah, yeah.
to your granny, and I know she doesn't. I know she doesn't go on Facebook, but to your granny,
It's,
to your granny, happy birthday.
her birthday is around the corner. It's absolutely coming up.
It's today, isn't it?
Today's what, the 19th, 18th?
18.
No, it's 21st, I believe.
They got okay. Well, Facebook got her birthday wrong.
Or I might have it wrong. I could absolutely have it wrong, and I might
Her
need to go
birthday
back and
is
uh,
today.
okay, I will give her a call.
That's
And
what Facebook's saying. So if you log on Facebook and you put your birthday in, and if you get your birthday wrong, then you can be getting the wrong
Oh
birthday
yeah, yeah.
birthday thank yous. Yeah.
so okay, I will double tap that. I could be off. There's a couple of birthdays in June that I try to remember,
I
and
know
her
Mackenzie's. I know her.
yours.
Yeah. So funny how people leave us, but then they kind of leave us a reminder.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'm not sure was that your mother's first grandchild, Mackenzie, or second?
She is. She's the oldest grandchild.
She's the first one.
Mm-hmm. Yep. She's the oldest, and then we got my beans is JoJo, and then
JoJo. Oh yeah.
my kids after that. I waited. My sisters was fast. Let me shut up. That's not true. That's not true. That's not how it happened. At all.
Well, they only have one each.
Yeah, they only have one each, and then
That
I
ain't fast.
came in,
That
and
ain't,
yeah, I filled in the gaps
that ain't fast.
at all. I filled in the gaps with four. So, but since you started,
Oh,
go
okay.
ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, but since you started talking about the
Oh, God.
foundation of where we're going to be tonight, and it'll I've got various different questions just to touch on a few points to see where we're always. But let me read the disclaimer first, as always. Views expressed by those views expressed to those held by the author and do not represent any other organization, company, corporation, or entity. All right, and so that's that part of it. And now we are moving into political assassinations because that's exactly what we saw happening in Minnesota. And to kind of essentially piggyback off of what you were saying, Rich, this is something it's absolutely crazy to me. It's crazy. I'll stop there. But I have a couple of articles pulled
Good.
up that I'll talk about a little bit later. But the monster, because I don't want us to identify this guy as being human. The acts that he actually indulged in are monstrous. It takes a different type of person to plan and execute what he did. Right. Part of the allegations pending against him are for stalking, and so he watched these folks and their families for a time. He planned. He strategically planned out how he was going to do this to the point to where he had one of those fake masks, and he ended up killing two legislators and injuring, firing multiple shots. It was
Wait, he killed one legislature. The other one survived.
no.
Kill two.
He killed two.
So when he went to the first house and killed the female Senator Hortman, state
Melissa
senator
Hortman.
in Minnesota, and her husband, and then he went to the other house and shot State Senator Hoffman.
Hoffman,
Oh,
yeah.
I see what you're saying.
And
Yeah,
then
okay.
he shot his wife
One-
too, but they survived.
One politician
Oh,
was
okay.
murdered. I see what he's
Yeah,
saying.
yeah.
I see what
Yes.
two people murdered.
Because
One
people
political.
say,
Yeah.
"Oh, well, they're giving out. They're not."
Yeah, I see what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. No, that's
real
good.
information.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point of clarification. Absolutely, good point of clarification.
But they're
So
both their names have an H.
yeah,
So
Portman and
Portman's
Hoffman.
died, but
Yeah,
Senator Hoffman, a man, him and his wife, they survived.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And so these actions that he's portrayed are absolutely disgusting. The reactions of some of the representatives that we have uh, in political positions, primarily, and I'll say the name Senator Lee out of Utah, absolutely
Lee.
disgusting.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting.
what did he say?
Oh, so I will pull this up. This will be the first article that I'll pull up to share. That way we can see it, and I don't have to give you a summary on it. Um, Give me 1 second. This is an Axios article, and I pulled it from here on purpose. I pulled it from here on purpose. All right, so uh, this is going through the article. I'll start reading it. Prominent MAGA figures, including the president's son, have amplified false rumors that the Minnesota shooting suspect was a Democrat in an effort to paint their political opponents as violent. The big picture in the wake of shootings. The big picture in the wake of shootings and the tragedies, social media often becomes fertile ground for misinformation and conspiracies. Now, fringe theories have found mouthpieces in mainstream among elected Republicans. I'll get to the part that you're actually
Wait,
asking.
wait, wait, wait. Go back up for a second. I want to
Yeah.
go. The alleged gunman held conservative political views and was a strong supporter of President Trump,
Mm-hmm.
according to those who knew him. Okay, okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Bush would never expressed any particular.
So this was part of some of the things that have been pushed out. Now, this article, let me go back to the top so we can see what the actual title is, by Axios. MAGA voices spread falsehoods to link Minnesota shooter to Democrats. And this happened very quickly, very soon after these things began to happen. All right. So uh, let me get down to it. What they're saying, Senator Mike Lee of Utah, Republican of Utah, has repeatedly spread misinformation about Bolter, prompting outrage and calls for his resignation. Lee posted an FBI image of the suspect wearing a face mask and posing as a police officer Sunday with the caption, "This is what happens when Marxists don't get their way." In another post, he shared a photo of the suspect with the caption, "Nightmare on Waltz Street." He shared his guess that he shared his guess that the suspect is not MAGA. In yet another post, Senator Lee wrote, "Marxism is a deadly mental illness," and shared an ex post calling the suspect a Tim Waltz appointee with no King's flyers in his car. Lee's office did not immediately respond to Axios' request for comment. So these are the things that he has been pushing out as a senator, a person of influence, purposely. False information, misinformation, stoking the fires of fear
Mm-hmm.
and criminality, trying to give just trying to take a political opportunity, as it were, to to continue to cause unrest, distrust, so on and so forth, with a specific party. Oscar, my brother, good to see you. And so it's ridiculous that he put that out there. Elon Musk shared a post that claimed the left was responsible for the Minnesota shooting and a string of other crimes. The far left is murderously violent, is what he wrote. Right-wing commentator Benny Johnson described Bolter as a Tim Waltz associate. Far-right activist Laura Loomer claimed Waltz was friends with the suspect and called for the governor to be detained by the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are multiple different articles that I could pull up to continue down that lane and down that aisle of this just disgusting interaction with the public. And if there was never a point to where faith and trust and hope in a position should be lost, this should be that time.
So hold on. So I'm looking at Axios.
Mm-hmm.
No, I didn't know this. Records reviewed by Axios. To those who believe that Axios is an independent, it's not right or leaning. It says here that Bolter was registered to vote as a Republican in Oklahoma in the early 2000s, but Minnesota voters do not declare party affiliation when they register. I did not know that about him.
Say that last part again. I couldn't hear you all that well.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, same.
it says records reviewed by Axios show he registered to vote as a Republican in Oklahoma in the early 2000s, but Minnesota voters do not declare party affiliation when they register. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good. And so I want to read what my brother said here, because this is unfortunately another aspect and reality of what's happening in our political strata right now, as well as what's going on in the streets. And like he's saying, the protests that have been happening around the country so far, especially on No King's Day, is something that the far left addicts of foolishness have begun to put this type of information out, just like they automatically share reused images of bricks at
Hmm.
protests to claim that they are all about violence and destruction. Right. So these guys, those are the type of representatives that need to be removed immediately. Immediately, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. There's no good reason if they're going to misuse their power and their influence in that stance. They need to be taken down from that position because they're dangerous, and it begins to take people down a lane that results in what we've seen happen in Minnesota.
But the pushback is
Yeah.
you try to remove people for saying false things, which is kind of what I'm going through this defamation lawsuit. Um, then pretty soon you will remove people for saying things you don't want to hear. So is that fine line between you want to give people freedom of speech. Politicians should have a very wide uh, range of speech so voters can know how they feel about issues. So when you say, well, then people should be able to research what's true and what's not. When people go to their particular TV stations, social media sites, websites,
Hmm.
if your site is left leaning, then you're going to get the left side. If it's right leaning, you're going to get the right side. If a site says, well, we're independent, how much independence do you have? You tell me about your profit margin. You tell me how much money you're making. I'll tell you how much independence that you have. So even with Chris Cuomo on News Nation, he tries to be as independent as possible. But the fact is, your brother is the former governor of New York, a Democrat. Your father is a former governor of New York, a Democrat. So how much independence can you really be when your family has been so invested in the Democratic Party? I don't know.
I, and I understand where you're going with that, but here's the difference, right? Freedom of speech, absolutely, but let's for people in public office that have a duty to the people, absolutely freedom of speech. However, the consequences of the actions that come after that freedom of speech has been misused and abused. Like, what was his intentions? What were their intentions after they put that misinformation out?
Because their intentions was if he was a Republican, you don't want that to be out because you want to paint the Democrats as being out of control. And that's why I say his name, Bolter.
Yeah,
It's just like James Earl Ray with Dr. King.
sure.
Did he really kill Dr. King?
No.
No. But we remember that name. So the Democrats want to portray the Republicans for being out of control. So it's kind of like a quote pissing contest.
I would give a little pushback on that
Okay.
as far as a pushing contest because name okay, let's go back. Name a assumed Democratic leaning person that
Mhm.
went on to assassinate Republican politicians.
Mm.
On that part, I can't think of anyone.
And there might be, I
Whoa,
can't
whoa,
think
whoa,
of
whoa.
anyone.
Wait a minute, wait a minute. The person, the kid that they shot, like, you can't remember his name, that tried to kill President Trump, candidate Trump at that time in July of 24.
Okay, okay,
There's one. There's
okay.
one. And then the
Let's
guy that
use
was in
him.
the bushes near the
We're
golf.
not gonna use a Bush guy. Even you arguing against a Bush guy. But I'll take your
Oh,
first point.
but
There,
listen, when we ask people to be honest about their parties, no one wants to be honest about their parties. So even when the Republicans make mistakes, they don't want to be honest. They tell us that you're God fearing, but the person that's leading you ain't so God fearing.
Well, I'm not even talking about the parties themselves. I'm talking about the shooter, right? So let's
Right.
go with
But
the
those
first
shooters,
guy.
the
Let's,
shooter in July that tried to kill President Trump,
you
was
talking
he a
about at
Republican?
Mar-a-Lago? Or are you talking about at
No, no, no. The kid that
the
they
kid?
shot on the roof.
Yeah. So that I don't know, but let's
Okay.
assume I don't
Okay.
know what side he was leaning. But what we do know about let's assume he was a Democrat. Let's assume
Okay.
the argument for that would be he was just going at Trump because Trump is a divisive figure.
Okay.
Okay. Now going to this guy, Bolter, is how you say his name?
Yeah.
Vulture.
He had a list, a hit list. All of them were either Democratic political figures or
Mm-hmm.
Planned Parenthood people, workers, right?
Okay. Reports claim, but Oscar's saying.
Yeah.
Well, remember when I started coming on this podcast,
Yeah.
one of the first things I said, who do you is there anybody you trust when it comes to getting information? And I got all kinds of answers. So if a person watches Fox News and that's where they get their information from, they're gonna get the Fox perspective. You watch CNN or MSNBC, you're gonna get
Mhm.
the Democrat or the left perspective.
Sure.
Show me a news agency that's truly independent, that's able to stay viable. They say the Guardian is pretty independent. I
Al
don't know.
Jazeera. Al Jazeera.
Okay.
Okay, okay. But I'm talking about American media.
Oh,
Uh,
it's too hard to do that in America with American
Yeah.
media.
so no one knows. This is one of the frustrating things when we talk about the law in this country. What separates us from everyone else?
Well, okay, let's talk about things we know. Right? Okay, so you want to go, I don't know who said it, allegedly. He had a list. There's a couple of news articles out there that said he had a hit list, right?
Okay,
I'll see
Hmm.
if I can try to find it in Fox so I can say left, right. But
okay,
assume he had a hit list. Um, we do know what the president, how his response was. That was on audio. We do know that when a reporter asked him if he's going to reach out to Waltz, there was an emphatic no. And then began to disgrace Governor Waltz, um, simply because, allegedly, because he ran against him in the election. That's not what somebody who's trying to unify the country would do. That's not something that somebody who wants to dispel this political discourse that's ripping apart the country, right?
Mm.
but wait a
Um,
minute. Wait a minute. See,
because you're not. Let me. You're not. You're. And that's Rich. You said this before. When you're in that seat, you are the president of the United States. You're not the president of Democrats. You're not the president of Republicans. You're not the president of MAGA. I'm counting MAGA as a separate party now.
Yeah. I am.
Um, yeah,
but look. So when we say that you're the president of all the people,
yeah,
well, who got you? So this is the funny thing. This is where black folks catch themselves.
yeah.
So when you say, you're the president of all the people now, well, who got
Mhm,
me here? His people got him here, and the Republican Party
mhm,
and a lot of the swing voters got him here.
mhm.
So that's who he's still answering to, even though he's leading the entire country. So even when they reinstate me to my office, well, who
Mhm.
got me here? Republicans got me to my office. So
Well,
who
how
do I
does it hurt us?
who do I answer to? I answer to them.
How does it
So
hurt your base by calling one of your governors
right,
to offer condolences?
Ooh, snaps!
that's
You beat me to it. Damn.
yeah,
Golly.
great point.
Let me.
But
Let me.
that's a great point. But here's my thing: I don't belong to the Democratic Party or the Republican Party. I'm on neither one's. I'm not on the Democratic plantation, nor am I in the Republican corporation.
Mhm.
I don't belong to neither one. So I can look at each issue and give an unbiased view. When you are signed up with one of those two parties, you got your hands tied. You really
Mhm.
do. And I'm taking pictures off of Facebook and they run on my
Yeah.
public page. The Democrats are yelling at the Republicans. They have all these political pictures. And then the
Mhm.
Republicans are yelling back. Sometimes those pictures are correct because you got bad issues in both parties. But all the Democrats, the liberals, oh look at the Republicans, they're wrong, and then the Republicans are the same way. So you're really no better than the person you're criticizing because you have the same venom, the same anxiety, the same intensity, the same mistrust.
I don't know anymore, Rich.
Yeah, I
I
think
used,
This country was not.
but
Black America has always said from the very beginning, we are divided because look how you enslaved Africans and brought us over here, and you've never really made peace with that enslavement of Africans. You've tried 13th Amendment, civil rights, and all that. You tried to make peace with the Mexicans in the Southwest over the Treaty of Hidalgo, Guadalupe, Hidalgo. You tried to make peace with Native Americans. You've tried, but you won. You were the victor, so you don't have to try so hard. But
I,
this country has always been divided because you built this country on division. You told women they couldn't work, that they could not vote.
yeah. Well, I get that, Rich. I'm just right now, right?
Uh-huh.
Going back, the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Biden called Trump to offer his condolences.
Classy.
Biden called the
Yep.
man that's trying to take his seat at the time
Yep.
to offer his condolences.
Yes.
Doesn't affect his party. It
Right.
doesn't affect the Democratic Party agenda, anything of that nature.
That's
On
correct.
the MAGA side,
Mhm.
that didn't happen. And just the framing of everything.
So you said President
Um,
Trump didn't call the
no,
family of
he didn't call Waltz. I don't. I
he
doubt he
said
even
it would
called.
be a waste of time.
Yeah,
to
that's what he
call the
said.
family of Senator Melissa
No, I don't.
Norton?
I got to check and see if he made phone calls to the family.
Yeah,
I don't remember seeing anything that said he
Here,
did.
I'm gonna see if I can look that up.
Yeah, but as far as at
Oh, you
least
do AI.
contacting the governor, he flat
yeah,
out said that it would be a waste of time. He said he's too far. He made it about something that had absolutely nothing to do with the situation
right.
at all. And so is that the standard we're setting now? Is that who America is at this point? Right? Because I get what you were saying, what you're saying when it comes down to atoning for the sins of the
Hmm.
nation. I'm not against you on that. All I'm
Right, right.
saying is a little civility goes a long way.
Hmm.
That's
A
true.
little civility goes a long way. And when our leaders can't show the smallest segment of civility, it
Hmm.
says something about them as a person as well as their leadership as well.
Hmm.
So I'm going to the exact words, and I'm not going to Fox. This is CBS.
Hmm.
Uh, it says statement from President Trump on the Minnesota shootings. I have been briefed on the terrible shooting that took place in Minnesota, which appears to be a targeted attack against state lawmakers. Our Attorney General Pam Bondi and the FBI are investigating the situation, and they will be prosecuting anyone involved to the fullest extent of the law. Such horrific violence will not be tolerated in the United States of America. God bless the great people of Minnesota, a truly great place.
Yeah, but then again, he
Okay.
let off Jan 6 people, right? And I so
Hold on, wait.
I don't
Let's
tr-
no. Let's isolate the Jan 6 because we have
sure.
no fight.
Okay.
I have no type of
Deal.
moral argument on that. What I'm
I'll
saying is on this, now this is a statement that he made. Because I was asking, did he call the family? So he made a blanketed statement to all the people in Minnesota and saying that political violence will not be tolerated. We're going to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law. That's the
Okay.
exact statement of President Trump on this particular issue. On this particular issue.
sure.
Okay. Also,
Before, Juice, let me read this before you go. This was Oscar answering the question that Richard put out there. He said, "Presidents are America's coach. The moral of the people relies on the inspiration and direction of the president, answering to we all the people. Anything else is third world corrupt politics." So when it comes to essentially that it looks like that's in retort to uh, who got you there. Just because people voted and got you there, is that who you begin to preside on or over and for? Excuse me, or is it still the totality of the picture of we the people, and we is inclusive of, again, all the people.
Well, he made a statement that I just read.
Let me read. Let me read one.
Okay.
Uh, Aboard Air Force One, a
Okay.
reporter asked if he reached out to Walsh yet after he finished talking about Israel and Iran,
Okay.
and he said that Walsh is slick and whacked out. I'm not calling him.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't. I, I don't really call him. He's slick. He appointed this guy to a position.
Mm-hmm.
I think the governor of Minnesota is so whacked out. I'm not calling him.
Mm.
Why would I call him? I could call him and say, "Hi, how you doing?" The guy doesn't have a clue. He's a he's a mess. So I could be nice and call him, but why waste time?
So is this America? Because that's the standard that's being set. Is this America? And in order to and this doesn't deviate from what you were saying, Richard. It's a part of, and it's another vein as to what you touched on earlier.
Mm.
If our leaders are putting this type of information out, this rhetoric out, is this America? And I think America has to begin, and we've it's not that we need to start, it's something that we should have done a long time ago. Take a long hard look in the mirror and begin to be honest about who and where we are as a society. As a society, this is the highest executive seat in the nation that doesn't have the wherewithal to simply call the governor of the
Right.
state because he's leading with misinformation. He appointed this guy. That's, come on.
Well, hold on a second. Again, regardless of how we feel about President Trump, enough
Hmm.
of the country believed in him to put him in office.
Right.
Now, so when we talk about, well, this particular president is not uh, professional enough, what you're really saying is, look at our country. But
Absolutely.
see, but look, our country, all the bad things we've done has been pretty much kept within the country. It wasn't until after President Obama made 2 straight terms that it all came out.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
So, in a sense, this country's always been this way. Who are we fooling? So when black folks were saying this from the very beginning, they said, "Well, you're just mad about being a descendant of the enslaved African. You're just mad." Okay. What about the Mexicans? Well, they don't speak enough English. Okay. What about Native Americans? Well, we don't want to cross them because we know we kind of screwed them up, but we gave them tax-free casinos. What about the Chinese Americans who went through holy hell on the West Coast, laying the railroad? Well, we're not going to talk about that.
At all.
Okay. So, but now it's all out. And with the internet and social media, you can't just do people wrong and get away with it. So how do you continue to keep the status quo? You put out misinformation. So what the CIA used to do undercover, now it's out in the open. Put out as much misinformation to where no one knows anything. And even if you go to court and you say, well, the law says this, Richard, so I'm taking you to court. The judge may say, well, you know what? I don't like the party Richard belongs to, so I'm going to screw Richard over. See, President Trump is not clearly wrong when he says that, not clearly on every issue. He's not lying on everything.
Well, explain that a little bit more. When you say he's not
So
clearly wrong on which thing,
when they were persecuting him,
but he's never been persecuted.
that's your opinion. So
No,
when they were,
that's the definition.
no, no, no,
By
no.
actual definition, he's never been persecuted.
Yeah.
In the political world, what they put him through, he was persecuted, and they try to keep
Huh.
him off the ballot.
Hmm.
Listen to this.
One
They,
state did that, Colorado, and
um,
then the court struck that down.
right. The Supreme. I mean, I told y'all. I said the Supreme Court has to, and they have to do it unanimously, or they'll lose the country.
Yeah.
So they put him on the ballot, and guess what? He won. If they had not put him on the ballot, oh my God,
You know,
we would have
don't want to.
probably had a civil war. And
Yeah,
so,
maybe, but
so,
I want
dude,
to say
if
this
you
part. I
say,
want to say this part. Just the coverage of the assassination, and I know you're talking about persecution, but the rhetoric that's being put out there in this administration, I think you could do some studies. You can make some connections to Israel bombing Iran, right? Israel hit Iran the administration condemns Iran for getting hit, and says they want them to surrender, right?
Yeah.
And then you come back here and think about assassination of the the Democratic senators up in Minnesota.
Yeah.
Kyle Rittenhouse killed a black person.
That's right.
The administration refused to condemn him, right? Even as a person, he wasn't in office then, but he refused to condemn him. Luigi, however, killed a white CEO, hates the sympathy that came from America for Luigi. All right. Then
Wait.
let's go
Did
to
President Trump condemn that? Did President Trump
no.
condemn? He didn't
He
condemn it?
condemned the murder, and he hated the sympathy that Americans have for Luigi.
Right. Right.
Then the two DC officers, right? Terrence Sutton and Andrew Zabazki, both were convicted in 2020 for killing the black teenagers. He pardoned them. The Blackwater contractors, pardoned them.
Hold on a second. Wait a minute. This is where he
Okay.
gets tricky, because when you
Okay.
say that he's pardoning some of these people who we know should not be pardoned, he pardoned some black folks too. So when they were saying that he was racist,
Yes. No,
So-
go ahead. I like this.
so when they said he was being racist, I said, well, hold on a second,
Okay.
because you got Snoop up there for 15 to 30 minutes kind of selling his soul because President Trump pardoned allegedly the co-founder. She'll tell you ain't no co-founder. Allegedly one of the co-founders of Death Row. He pardoned that black man. That wasn't the first black man that he's pardoned. So if he was truly racist, he wouldn't be pardoning black folks. He would look for another way. But he's not true.
No, I would go, please. I interrupted you last time. I don't want to finish your
And
point.
look, this is why I say this, because you got to keep hope alive. I don't believe that Sean P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, Combs is guilty. If he is found guilty, and we keep saying that President Trump is racist, when his lawyers and friends go to President Trump and say, hey, let P. Diddy out, let Puffy out. If I'm President Trump, I'm going to let him out. And then I'm going to tell the black community, you said I was racist.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man. This is you're right, man. He was racist, but God, I'm so glad for my community that he pardoned Larry Hoover. Thank you, because my community.
He didn't pardon him. I thought he brought the sentence
Larry
down.
Hoover.
He didn't let him out. He brought the sentence down.
He pardoned him.
No, he's still in jail. He went from a federal to a state. I don't know if that's any better or not. I think that's actually a step down.
No, it's not a step down, because for state you can minimize time. Federal, you got to serve it all out unless your sentence is actually communicated. Yeah.
Okay. And then let's talk about the culture, because I don't know where we would be if he ain't pardoned Kodak Black.
Oh Lord.
I don't know where we would be. Where would hip hop be without NBA YoungBoy? Wayne for the gun charges. I thank you for pardoning people who have done harm to our community.
Okay.
I don't see him uplifting people who are trying to do good for the community.
Hold on. Wait a minute. See, I knew I was going to catch y'all. That's why I say he's tricky. Listen to this. During his presidency, Donald Trump granted executive clemency, including pardons to several individuals, some of whom were black. Listen to this one, because she got some help. For example, he pardoned Alice Marie Johnson, who had been convicted of drug-related offenses and was considered to be a prominent figure in the campaign for criminal reform. He pardoned, and I believe she was from Tennessee.
I think so. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
So that was a big deal.
She later became Trump's pardon czar. I don't even know what a pardon czar is.
In other words, she's going to run to him with people's names and saying, hey, Mr. President, let's get this person out. He's not going to let everybody out. But I told y'all, I said, if he wins the election, which I said he was going to win, I said he has to let those people who protested violently, unpeacefully, he had to let them out or he was going to lose his base. He didn't have a choice.
Right. And I don't disagree with you on that, but let me remind you all again, and I said this when we were talking about this once before, that we understand the the nuances of tokenism, right?
Okay,
Mm,
okay, okay.
there we
So
go.
he absolutely has to pardon some, right? He has to. Um, but if he really, if there was an impact to be made, he would actually dig in. And I'm not just saying him. I'm talking about every president that has been there. They would dig in with the foundation that are actually fighting for people to get off death row, where 50% of those guys are, look like us, because those actual cases had
Mhm.
absolutely nothing to do with them, and they were completely innocent in those. If he wanted to make an impact, that's all I'm saying. Let's start there instead of tokenizing certain situations to give other folks that align with him the
Mhm.
ability to say, "Hey, look over here. This is what he did."
But here's the problem with the
Yeah.
tokenism, because
Hmm.
you're right, but this is where it gets tricky. So Alice Johnson, he made her the pardon czar in the Black History Month. A
There we
Tennessee
go.
woman who was, listen to this, she was serving a life sentence for a drug crime before Trump commuted her sentence, a pardon czar, to advise him on further acts of clemency. He made the announcement during Black History Month.
Yeah,
But you let that black woman who was serving a life sentence in Tennessee, okay? So if I'm her family, if I have to be the token, then I'll be the token to get my mama or sister or cousin out of jail if she's serving
absolutely.
a life sentence. So
I,
From a
this is
different
what
perspective. Yeah, I feel you on that.
I
But
get that
it's
too. Yeah,
tricky.
I
It's tricky
absolutely understand that also.
yeah,
on her particular, on this one particular black person. I ain't
what
talking
Sure.
about
about
Kodak
Kodak
Black
Black,
or
the
Little
NBA young
Wayne
boy?
or anyone else,
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but in her case, and that was huge.
yeah. But now let's look at what's been going on in the Tennessee legislature, and how the civil and political unrest has been going down. Like they were fighting because they had Republicans trying to name their airport after him. But
Oh,
that's a whole
jeez.
so there's a lot that's happening in Tennessee that would actually add to that conversation, and we can come back to that at another time.
Yeah.
But the question still stands with this type of violence that's happened.
Mhm.
First off, let me ask this as we continue and we push forward: is this going to be a one off? Is this a one off? That's the first thing. And again, coming back to the question: is this America? Is this?
Yes, this is absolutely America. This is our foundation.
Mm,
Listen, I'm reading some more on this article on what he said, and I think this is telling. He says here, I prefer that our kids, I prefer our kids prefer to learn about 1776. I believe in the ideals that this administration is putting forward in helping all people. It's not a matter of playing into victimhood and how we oppressed and how we want reparations. When he says that, he's speaking for a large percentage of white America, not just Republicans. A
sure.
large percentage, because they're basically saying, listen, we know we screwed up, but we don't want to focus on that. We just want to go forward and kind of, push that stuff off to the side. So when black folks were saying, hey, we want these slave reparations, I kept saying, stop saying that. Stop saying that. Yeah, you're right to want that. But if you think you're going to get slave reparations in this country,
Yeah, that's
you're
probably not going to
you
be
can
it.
get two more black presidents, all black,
Yeah,
before you get slave reparations. Because what you would do if you provided reparations to black folks. Remember, I'm always saying this. I'm a descendant of the enslaved African. I've had no one on this show, I've had no one on my other shows come on and say, Richard, I'm a descendant of the enslaved African just like you. You're not the only one. So when black folks were screaming that they wanted slave reparations, but you ask them, are you a descendant of the enslaved African? Then they get quiet. Their butts get tight.
mm,
And they want to look at me and point the finger. So when we talk about these assassinations, is it a symbol of our country? Absolutely, it's a symbol of our country. If we go back in our past, oh gosh, there was a president that they wanted to get rid of because he was trying to do something for black people. And I can't remember who that president was. And it wasn't just Abraham Lincoln, who, as you say, Mr. Glass, he didn't want to give you your freedom. He kind of
right,
like forced into it in a sense, for the greater good.
right.
And in
Well,
that case, it was for the greater good.
let's talk about that. Going back to Borter, right? He's being charged from the feds with what, stalking, uh, Stalking, 2 counts of second-degree murder,
Mhm.
2 counts of attempted murder. But people are asking, why isn't he being charged with terrorism? And
That's
terrorism is
that part.
that why
Part. Yes.
because they are. mm, I'm gonna say America, but we know when I say this, the listeners will know exactly what I mean.
All right.
America is so quick, it's so expeditious in their manner to label anybody with melanin a terrorist.
Sure.
Uh,
Even the one that when at Lincoln Raleigh,
Yeah.
terrorist.
Yeah.
But this guy who actually murdered political figures
uh-huh.
is not being charged with terrorism.
Which is wild. It's absolutely wild. So let me start off by saying this as well. I am a descendant of the enslaved African that was
Well,
brought to America.
yeah.
I want to make
Okay.
that statement also.
Mhm.
Uh, I agree with President Richard Lewis Brown in that
Okay.
sense. And
Okay.
is
I can hear the cat talking now. Go ahead.
I,
I don't know what Mr. Glass. I never really knew how he felt. I think he's more reserved.
in
So
times, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
I
reserved.
I wanted to make sure I said that. But going back to what you said, Deuce, when you look at the definition of terrorism,
Mhm.
you align that with the actions of this monster, you are 100% correct. And that's the same thing that went through my mind at one point. Why is he not being tried at the federal level for terrorism?
Mhm.
Because there's a possibility that it's going to come out that maybe, allegedly, that he is a Trump supporter. So you don't want that. And,
Oh,
and
yep.
that's a great point what Oscar is saying. So you took the Kennedy boys out, both of them. You took both of them out because they were bringing the heat. You took out Dr. King. You took out Malcolm X
Mhm.
because they were bringing the heat. You couldn't necessarily buy them out. And so that sent a message to everybody else in their circles. You can have your
Mhm.
freedom of speech in this great country. You have your freedom of speech. You may not get that freedom of speech in Iran or China or somewhere else. They'll kill you before you say 2 words.
Oh, quick.
Here, we'll let you say 100 words, let you write a book, let you win a Nobel Peace Prize, and then we'll get rid of you because we're here in your culture.
Give me 1 second. Let me talk to Facebook directly. Stop blocking me, Facebook.
What?
Stop blocking me from posting my link, Facebook.
And you know why? You should tell Mr. Mark Zuckerberg that you serve the country and your commander in chief is President Trump, period. And you are not saying anything to destroy this country. You're asking questions.
That's it.
Last time I checked, when you ask questions peacefully in a non-violent manner, you should not be censored.
No,
Period, Mr. Zuckerberg. And you would think, Mr. Zuckerberg, let me stop. I'll stop there.
yeah, that was crazy. So, since we asked about the face of America, Richard, your answer was yes. Deuce, what was your response?
Is this the face of America?
Yeah, is this America?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, America's a never-ending Sopranos episode. America's about it. You go anywhere in the world, America, they be like,
Well,
wow.
I know, right?
Pew pew.
Right.
America is a never-ending Sopranos episode, man. Where danger lurks at every corner.
Mm.
That's why we have some of the greatest comedians in the world, man, because of the
Mm.
things that we as a people have to suffer through, man.
Wow.
Uh, we praise the wild wild west, man, where if the three of us had a problem with another posse, all right, we're going out, we're gonna take 3 steps, turn around and bang bang,
Yeah.
right? We love that era, man.
Wait a minute.
Oh my god, that was the best time in America, some people
Hold
say.
on.
So
If you look
yeah.
at our look at the movie industry, we loved us some Jack Reacher. What is Jack Reacher? Out of control,
Vigilante.
retired. Did he even retire from the army? He
No.
just got out and
I
just
think he
started
got put
wowing
out.
out, all for the
Yeah.
greater good.
And
That's
I
Jack
actually,
Reacher. Mission Impossible. They
yeah,
doing the most.
John
Okay,
Wick.
John Wick. I like Wick.
Yeah.
Jason
Born
Statham, Straightham, however you say his name.
Jason
Graham.
All
Statham.
these movies promoting
Yeah.
violence and
Yeah.
guns
Hey,
and doing the Sopranos. Yeah, we're the mafia. You know, we're gonna kill some people, but we're gonna still be human about it. This is how I say this. We're
Who
gonna
is
kill
we?
some
We
people,
you
but
talking
because
about
we're
we
white,
as
we're gonna
America
be
gonna be human
human.
about it?
We're gonna be human about it. We're gonna have other issues going on. But when they portray us, when we're selling drugs, the black mafia,
Oh,
the black
yeah.
mafia family, it's always kind of like derogatory in a sense. It's
it's
not classy. It's not like Superfly. Kind of classy.
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
The
yeah.
original Superfly.
The
yeah,
original Superfly was good.
Yeah. It wasn't like Sugar Hill. You might know remember that movie from years
yeah.
ago.
I remember Sugar Hill for
Yeah.
sure.
So
What
it
was that?
wasn't
Return of the
classy.
Mac?
Yeah, the Mac. It was
Yeah.
not like Goldie now.
So what I'm saying is America has always believed in violence because that's how you enslave Africans. Because this idea that all the Africans just sold other Africans, no, not all of them. No, no. Because when you come down on that boat and you got that long rifle and you say, hey, I need a few more people, you're gonna get a few more people.
And so let me push the narrative just a little further and try
Mm.
to add a little more texture to it and make people a little tight and maybe a little uncomfortable. So is this the epitome of MAGA?
What, violence?
All the actions that happen. Is this what MAGA means when they're talking about the Second Amendment, when they're talking about the First Amendment? Is this what MAGA is talking about when they say, "Don't tread on me" and protecting us, protecting our rights?
Well, wait a minute, wait a minute.
Hmm.
First of all, I don't refer them to them as MAGA, they're Republicans. Okay. So
Say what?
a MAGA is a Republican within the Republican Party. So they are Republicans. Ain't no MAGA political party. It's called Republicans, period. And now they have a voice because there's a person from New York with an East Coast mindset and a Southern charm. He'll
What?
tell you,
But go
yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
he's got a charm to him. Southern charm. This is who I am. I'm proud to be white. And listen, I'm not mad at white people. They should be proud to be white because I'm
Sure.
proud to be black. Everybody should be proud of their ethnicity on how God created you. I have no
Absolutely.
problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
But Donald Trump is saying, hey, you guys have been, a certain percentage of black America has been demonizing white folks, making white people have, quote, white guilt. And they're tired of it. They're tired of it.
No,
That's
I
what
don't
they
like that narrative. I feel like because when you say it like that, it makes it seem as though this is action to correct a bad course. Now, I do agree with. I've seen it all over TikTok now. What is it? Ghetto. People get what is it? Ghetto. The E word. It means that you ghetto exhaustion, right?
Oh, okay.
Victimhood exhaustion, black exhaustion. I've seen that. Now, I agree with segments of that. But Rich, when you frame it that way, it frames as though MAGA is this great hope that comes in to correct an ill deed. I do believe that there was some overreach, too much crying, but we that movement didn't have America in a stranglehold the way that MAGA does now. That movement didn't have a big beautiful bill that could
Mm,
cause millions to
mm,
go to suffer, right? That movement didn't have control of our tariff system, of our judicial system. It didn't have the levels of power that MAGA now holds. So it
no,
wasn't
no,
the threat that
no,
MAGA
no.
is.
Mm-mm.
It was
Listen
never,
to
it
this.
never was,
I
never
said, I
was.
said, I said Donald Trump has an East Coast mindset because he's from the East Coast, but he has a Southern charm. So he's not hiding his shat. He's putting it right out there in your face. All the other times, the other presidents, they didn't want you to know what they were doing. So no one knew that President Obama had deported more illegals than any president in American history.
But
Nobody.
there's nuance. There's nuance in that.
Wait a
Not
minute.
his
Wait a minute. I don't care
deportations
about the
came from the
nuance.
border. No,
President
no, it
Obama.
totally matters. It totally matters because a lot of his deportations came from border crosses because people wanted to come to America. Now the border crosses have dropped tremendously to the point where if President Trump wants to meet his stated numbers, he
oh
has
man.
to go into the interior of the U.S. to drag people out.
Wait a minute. But
Biden
he
nor
never.
Obama had to do that because they were just focused on the border.
That's
Let's
not
let,
true. Hold on.
I,
Wait a minute.
let me
Wait a
let
minute.
me say this real quick because the narrative surrounding undocumented peoples is beginning to shift and turn. I just want to throw that out there. He said it in a press conference. He was talking about getting people to work, and he was actually talking about the hospitality industry and another industry losing workers. But we'll cover that.
No. I caught you. And I told y'all last Wednesday, I said,
Richard Fisher.
I said, hold on a second. He ain't supposed to do that. I said, Stephen Miller's about lost his natural mind, him in 2025.
Yeah.
Something that's down there.
Yeah.
And guess what he did? Sunday night, he reversed course. He said, go back in there to the agriculture farms, to the restaurant industry. He backpedaled. Because I know Stephen Miller and the other fellas up there.
Using that shit.
Hold up. Break that down for the people in the back because I missed that one. What did you do?
So he said that he had got some calls and people had been here for 20 years. They were good people. They weren't really criminals. They were in the agriculture and the hospitality, the restaurants and the hotels.
No.
He said, he said this last week. He said, maybe we should just keep them here, find a way to keep them here. But I said, hold on a second. You can't be handpicking who you keep here. No, you can't. And then still meet them numbers? No, you can't. And so I'm sure Stephen Miller was like, whoa.
That's that number.
We'll never get these numbers, Mr. President. And your legacy, part of your legacy is you stop the border, but that's just half the battle. Now you got to get all the people who are here illegally. You got to get them out of the country.
Oh, man.
But the wealthy Republicans who are not MAGA, most of them, they're like, hold on now. You hurt you trying to decrease my shareholder value. No, wait, hold on. Wait, that's the wrong accent. Mr. President, you're decreasing our shareholder value. I'm not sure I can go for this. But the ones that said, well, hold on now, Mr. President, you said you get all these illegals up out of here. And then from then we'll get the
the Haitians.
Yeah.
They're first. We're next. Yeah, we're next. So when y'all screaming for these reparations, I never said that, Mr. President. No, sir. It wasn't me, Mr. President. I didn't ask for no slave reparations.
I'm not finna say that. I don't want a fiat currency for reparations. That's what I said.
Here we go.
I don't, because here's the reason why I say that, right? Because let's toy around with the idea that we get reparations, right? And families end up getting millions of dollars. The only thing that's going to happen is inflation, and the value of the dollar is going to drop.
Oh yes, no, I agree.
So that's why I don't want currency. I want land, I want minerals, and I want metals.
I tell you what,
that's what I want.
If you're wanting land and you wonder how America was kind of created for the European, was for the land. If you want the minerals and you wonder why the Europeans went to Africa and Asia, to get all that mineral wealth and anything else to get their hands on. Okay, so you're talking to the core.
Hey, that's
European American. You're talking to the core. Talking to their core values. You ain't getting that. I'm telling you. So you're right. Give them the money. Black folks won't have no financial discipline. We'll crash the value of the dollar. You're right.
Man, so I don't want that. Deuce, I know you got to get on the road soon, man. Yeah. You gotta.
Y'all are good, man.
Oh, okay.
Nah, y'all good.
Okay, so
I guess they got some more light.
Yeah, so I want to circle back around to this is why they are so poor. Yeah, that is why they are so poor. So circling back around to, is this the face of MAGA? Is this the personification of what MAGA stands for? That becomes the question, because it's I haven't really seen many MAGA pundits vehemently coming out against this the same way they did during the assassination attempts on the actual candidate Trump.
Nah, glad you're wrong. They've been saying a lot. They've been saying, but what was his motive? What was his motive? What was his motive? They've been saying that. They've been hitting that hard, because that's what we need to know. He killed two people and tried to kill two others. But what was his motive? Why?
I swear, when this first came out, and I didn't clip the article. It's not I didn't clip the article. It said the reason why he was trying to get him up out of there, because they had the way that article read, they had sided. I think they were Democrats, but they had sided with the Republicans. So maybe he was a liberal. So it's They had took some recent votes, and Hortman and Hoffman. I don't know if they cast the deciding votes or not. In
We'll
the
keep talking. I'm gonna look it up. Possible motives behind
yeah,
uh his actions. So keep
maybe he
going.
was a liberal, maybe he was a conservative, but you can't. Like I said in the past, because you have so much TV, cable, and social media, and people doing podcasts. Whatever you're doing that's not right, all you gotta do is put misinformation out there so that no one knows anything. So even if I came and told you the truth, I'm a white man, trans white, you wouldn't know to believe it or not.
I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying, but I feel like that's something that no. It's like it's so vast. It's like if we're on a ship, we're on a cruise ship
Mhm.
goes down, we're in a life raft, and like we got to get to safety, and then it's like you saying the ocean's so big, how are we gonna get there? Can't shrink the size of the ocean, right? It is what it is. And misinformation has grown so big nowadays. We do have
Mhm.
to be vigilant in where we get our news from. I get that, but I feel like also at some point we have to go off what we have and just vet that to the best of our abilities,
You
and then go
can't.
with that until it's. But we do that every
You
week.
can't. You can't.
That's
You
solid.
can't really. You can't really go off of what you have because what you have is what has been manufactured to make you think a certain way.
But
Here,
we do that every week, though.
I'll give you an example. So in the '90s, when I got out of the military, I read a lot of books before I went to
Mm.
college because the internet hadn't got that popular yet. But
Yeah.
I knew that a lot of those books I was reading, the quote conspiracy books, once they hit the internet, I said, man, the secret societies and the CIA, they got to make some decisions. How do we combat the truth? You just add misinformation to where you don't know what's right and what's wrong. So now you have to pray to God or pray to whoever for discernment. But you just throw all that stuff out there on the wall. Nobody knows anything. So even if you tell someone that if the Messiah came down tomorrow and he was a quote, let's just say quote, he was a white man with blonde hair and blue eyes, a lot of folks would follow him. That's probably not the Messiah, you know? That's probably somebody else. But if the Messiah was a black man, golden brown
Mm.
skin, real good hair, came down from heaven, I'm here. Ain't nobody following him. A lot of black folks won't follow him because they'll be like, well, girl, you think it's really him? Now he's probably the Antichrist. He's just probably trying to fool us. So even when the truth walks you into your face, you're not going to be able to see it. And that's why they talk about that in the New Testament because you have so much misinformation. You don't know what's true and what's not, but you know what your gut tells you. Your gut tells you that protest on January 6th, 2021, that it wasn't peaceful. You can look and see it. And they were waving the Confederate flag. Nobody said
Mm,
a word about that. Nobody said a word about that
Hmm.
because they're taking their country back. The country that, you know, was here before they got here.
And,
right.
and
We have
I get that,
anti-ism on that.
but at some point we got to take what we see and dissect it the best way that we can in order to come up with some type of educated guess. And if we get new information that's contrary to that fact, we
Uh-huh.
can pivot, we can adjust. That ideal can grow.
They
But if
gave you
we,
information that James Earl Ray killed Dr. King, and that was a complete lie. Now they
Sure.
didn't even talk about it anymore. The King family's like, no, he didn't do it. But
but
they,
okay, so but if we go off of what you're saying, then people should
okay.
just do nothing, just do nothing at all. Don't believe
No,
anything and don't
you
act.
have to still vote. But I said to both of you gentlemen, I said, as long as you're voting for one of these two major parties, you're not going to get no success. Now, when you start voting, you say, well, I'm going to vote for one Democrat, one Republican, two or three Green Party, Libertarians, or whatever. Now you're going to shake things up.
I wrote myself in on a ticket.
I disagree with that too. I mean, no correction.
Okay.
I agree
Okay.
with that, but I also think there's another method. Oh,
Okay.
like y'all see me? Hold on, what am I like that? Oh, okay, that helped. All right, I agree with that, but that's not the only way. Look at I think the birth of MAGA. You can track it back to Newton, Newt Gingrich, if you wanted to, right? But I think the popular one, the most polarizing movement, was the Tea Party movement.
Why are y'all so?
They No, I don't like some of the values of the Tea Party movement. But as a movement,
Uh-huh.
How they did it, I do admire that. They got it from the civil rights movement. I got it. How they executed that in modern times, wonderful, beautiful, well played. Patriot level, Tom Brady, Bill Belichick execution level. They got their people into
You
the Republican Party,
could have used
and
better names.
the Tea Party movement. Oh no,
Yeah,
Tom Brady. Okay,
Belichick.
I mean they dominated NFL for only like
I
15
got
years. I don't know who else to pick, right? But okay, with Andy Reid and Patty Mayonnaise,
calm down, man. You got to
so
be
um, all I'm saying is how they did it. And I hope people understand how they did it. Remarkable. We can, black people, we can do that. Pick a party. Right now, I would say the Democratic Party, but get our people in there. Get key business people, key money bag holders to support them, so that we can take the reins of the Democratic Party and create our own MAGA. Don't call it that, but MAGA. Some MAGA-like thing in the
Listen to me
Democratic
on
Party
this.
that supports the common people.
It's not. Well, hold on. First of all, I don't refer to Republicans as MAGAs. I don't, because
No, there's a difference.
no, a MAGA is a Republican.
It's a branch of
When
the Republican Party.
a MAGA is a Republican, so when
Segment.
they put their affiliation, they are Republican. Period. Ain't no MAGA. Here's the
It's a
thing.
segment.
Once President Trump leaves office, that
Yeah.
whole MAGA movement is going to be over.
Maybe.
They're trying to keep it going, but
Maybe.
they won't be able to.
Oh,
I
he's
don't
going to
know.
destroy it.
They
I
won't
think
be
he's,
able to.
I think he's going to destroy it. I don't think
I don't know.
they're going to have a too much of a choice.
I don't
Well,
know.
if he
I
if he
don't know.
continues,
I doubt it.
he has to get all those people who are here illegally out. He said he'll get out the criminals. No, that's talking in code. I'm getting all of y'all out of here. That's what that means. So you have to understand when someone's telling you in code what they're going to do. But if the tariffs destroy the country the way you guys think it will, then his whole movement will be destroyed.
I don't think so. He's doing a wonderful job at marketing. He's always been great at marketing. You have the Trump accounts. They're only eligible for the babies born during his term, right? If this big beautiful bill is passed, that's the thing. You talking
Now,
about you're gonna have some happy parents, you're gonna have some happy babies. You were a Trump account baby. Yeah, mom. Yeah, dad, I'm happy, right? Because now I know financially I have a step above my peers. Okay. Now he's coming out with the golden Trump phone that's not attached to the bill. People are gonna buy that. That's another symbol. We love
Wait,
symbols.
it's attached to the bill?
It's not attached to the bill.
Oh,
That's a separate thing. I say that to say that can go through with or without the bill. It's a symbol. We love symbols. We adore symbols because it stands for an ideal, right?
Sure.
People with
Hold
that
on.
Trump phone will go.
Hold
Also, I
on.
want to say this. He's also MAGA people are infiltrating our blind spots, school boards. They are changing the curriculum at some of these schools. Not all of them, not even the majority of them, but they are changing the curriculum at some schools now to teach their philosophies, their principles. So
Hold
I don't
on,
think the
Juice.
MAGA party is going to
Wait.
die.
Hold on, Juice. Wait a minute. Let me stop you right there. You're not wrong.
Mm.
First point is this. Be careful how you talk about symbols when Mr. Glass is on wax. Because this man has worked a lot of years to climb that pyramid. Symbols mean something. Second part,
symbols do mean something. Yeah.
Okay, I'll walk away. So
No,
the second
that's what I said.
the
Right? I
second
said
part,
symbols mean something. Yeah.
I
Right. I
did
said
a
symbols
lot of
mean
talking.
something. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you talk to him offline. So listen, the second part, the schools were getting too far to the left, teaching about transgender, and if your child wants to be a girl or a
Agreed.
boy, or they were going, and you don't have, and then the school won't tell your parents what you're doing, especially in California. Because I had this
Agreed.
conversation with a Republican, and I was wrong. And I told her, I said, if I'm wrong on this transgender issue about a child can want to be gay or be a different sex, and the school won't tell the parent what's going on, I said, that's crazy. She said, that's what's happening here in California. And so we as Republicans, we're trying to get into the school board to stop that madness because they had gone too far to the left, but then you can go too far to the right. You got to have, like in any marriage, you got to have balance.
Yes.
But with our country, after having a black president 2 straight terms, And then now you've had President Trump 2 non-consecutive terms.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can we get back to some type of balance? Until
No.
President Trump, and even when he's not in the White House, until he shows his age and he's no longer able to give out rallies, he's going to have an effect on this country. And so, and I thought about even buying that phone because some of that stuff that he's doing will be historical, period. Because he's branding himself. So just like Mr. Glass wants to brand his podcast, every podcaster wants to brand their podcast
Yes.
and go into millions like Joe Rogan.
Yes.
Well, President Trump is a master brander, period. And he'll do anything and everything to make money because when he dies,
Yeah.
his name will be carried on for legacy. Only one other president has been a president 2 terms without being consecutive. I think it was Cleveland, I believe.
I mean, yeah, that's a great company.
So that is legacy. They try to put him in jail. That's legacy. He has made legacy. He, when you watch the Apprentice show, he's acting like he's real arrogant. Everything has to be his way and blah 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 blah. He's actually his own apprentice.
Well, I get that. But first off, I want to say that when he gets out of office, he still has to go back through trial. Remember, we talked about that. There's going to be more that follows. They suspended it the way they suspended it on purpose. I just want to remind y'all of that because we looked that up. We looked at
$10. When he's out of the presidency, he ain't never going back to court.
I'll put 100 on it. I'll put 100.
I don't bet.
Put 100 on it? Okay.
Yeah, because there's the reason why I say that is the precedents that he's set so far is he's made more enemies than and I'm not even going to say friends, but associates, and he's continuing down that line, unfortunately. But there's the fringe people that are hanging on, as always. First off, they're going to get fired. We just got to wait for their turn. That's his show. Right? That's literally his brand, is firing people. There's nothing more than he does better for entertainment purposes than fire people. Right? And so that's the only thing we're really watching play out is a huge set on a global stage of the freaking Apprentice, unfortunately. That's why it's such a chaotic thing. Go ahead.
Okay. I agree with the aggregate, making more enemies than friends. However, the nuance in that is friends are powerful. Wants to free up all of this federal land, right? That federal land sits on top of some minerals, whether it's oil, some other things. Wants to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America to get to the bottom of that golden. It's like follow the rainbow, pass the leprechaun, give me that pot of gold. Right?
Sure.
He's going to that. He's not going to be the only one digging in that pot of gold. There's going to be some other people that rolled and stuck it out with them, right? And they're going to be in that because not so much because, I love Trump, but I love me some money. Right? And if they ride that golden goose, that's what's going to happen.
Sure, right. And I won't disagree with you on that. But what continues to be taken off focus and nobody's really talking about is he's still $1.12 billion in debt. So it's not friends he's making. These business associates are making sure that their investment is paying off.
Mr. Glass, if you think he's $1.5 billion in debt, when it's all said and done in the Middle East, you know why he doesn't want to go after Iran? Because he doesn't want to upset his Saudi and Qatar and other Middle East money that's going to clear his debt and put him on top.
He asked for the complete and utter surrender.
Huh?
He asked for the complete and utter surrender, and we poured troops back. Rumor is we poured troops back from the area because we were aware of the attack in Israel.
When you guys call him a racist and a MAGA and all this and that, a real racist white man doesn't ask for your unconditional surrender. He takes it.
Not true.
Okay, I give up. Go ahead, Austin.
let's,
I was gonna say
Yeah,
I was gonna
what's up,
say
Oscar? What's going on?
let's
how's it going, everybody?
my brother Oscar to the Family Bloodline podcast, my man. Hey, bro, thanks for
Oh,
hopping on. I appreciate you, man.
sure. No, the conversation was just so good. I couldn't help myself but to want to hop on. um, yeah, I don't talking about President Trump. I don't think he's a racist. I think he's an opportunist. I
I
think he's a businessman.
Mm,
I think he is a man that knows pretty well exactly the people he should have in line, the people he shouldn't.
mm,
He hasn't become this rich for no reason, right? I mean, sure he had his father that did help him out, but
mm,
when you're around people with wealth, you learn a thing or two. You know who to keep around, you know who not to keep around. Um, so I think, as we've already said, he's great at marketing, right? He has
mm,
taken programs and things that other presidents have done before him, have canceled them, and then 2, 3 days later rebrands them with the Trump name.
mm-hmm.
Very similar. He did that with many programs. So we got to remember that. Um, I think what the MAGA movement is a symptom of a greater problem that we have with presidents, both Democrats and Republicans, that have forgotten the Bible Belt, that have forgotten the states that voted MAGA. There are people that feel like they're being left behind, be it educationally, be it economically, be it industrially, right? With different industries that are, being left behind. And the problem is, how are we going to retool those people? How are we going to get them upskilled? How are we going to get them jobs? And most presidents, because they don't really care when they're campaigning, they don't really care much for those states
Oscar,
unless it's benefiting them.
when you said about the Bible Belt and quote, basically European Americans, some of them feel they've been left behind. Could you imagine feeling that you've been left behind when you were told from the time you were a baby you were God's gift, and that the chosen people were also the same color as you? And now you got black folks talking about, well, we need our money for the enslavement and all this and that. Mm-mm. And then you see black folks rapping and demonizing each other on rap videos and saying the N word. And now the child that you thought you had is now saying the N word and listening to rappers. It's too much for white America to handle. Too much. I feel sorry for them. I'm their apologist. It's too much. Too much, too soon. Put the black guy in the White House 2 straight terms.
I,
Too much.
one thing I was going to say is I think where we have kind of gone awry with where we're going in our country is that it used to be minor increments of things that we would do, right? And then we started getting polar opposites.
Yeah.
Going far to this way to the left, far to this way to the right. And that's something I quickly learned when taking political science and law classes. When I was really angry about, like, oh, why does the system work so slowly? And
Yeah.
the professor at the time was like, that brings stability. It may not be perfect, but it brings stability, little bits at a
Incremental.
time. We know we're incrementally changing things. We know the law is going. It's case law, right? It's English law. It goes slowly but surely. Um, Unlike other countries in Latin America and elsewhere around the world that are Roman law, that everything is based on, like, hey, this is how I feel today. This case is going to roll this way. This case is going to roll that way.
Mm,
I'm the judge. I can roll any way I want. But here in America and in England, it's case law. Everything incrementally, slowly, and once we get away from that, and once we politicize the courts, once we politicize everything else, it goes into chaos.
And so that's where we are, unfortunately, to where the impeachment of federal judges is being called on. The judges, as soon as they disagree with what's being said to POTUS, then they are at that point on the wrong side of the law. As
Mhm.
again, listening to SCOTUS speak with the Solicitor General not too long ago, and him flat outwardly, openly, and honestly saying, well, there's some things that you guys rule on that you say that we're simply not going to follow.
Mhm.
Because at that time, we don't really think that that's something that we need to do. Right.
I, I do, and I hate
Well,
it because it's kind of buried in now. Oscar, you said something that just stuck with me. I have a why for it. You said uh, MAGA is a response, or it's a response to the Bible Belt, right? people in the
It's a
Senate.
response to the Bible Belt feeling like they're being left behind by every president, be they Democrats or Republicans.
So here's my why. When you look at national level, you look at the financial levels, you look at structures of power, the Bible Belt, and correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't have that much sway. And that's why they've been ignored. So why now? What's the benefit for the MAGA movement to tap into that? Because there was a lot, like Elon spent, I don't know how much money swaying people's vote. So it wasn't,
Of a
so I'm
bill.
not disagreeing with you, but I guess what's the benefit for them?
I think it's radical
understand
change. You want something different.
You don't understand
Right.
politics. Politics is not based on logic. I'm telling you, I got voted in. It wasn't based on logic.
Yeah.
It's the same as the guy who goes to the nightclub. It ain't about really how much money he always has in his pocket. When he talks to multiple women at the club, how did he make her feel? And that's the same thing about religion.
Yep.
How did the religion make you feel? And so when I see this person, Liberty Twitcher, now I don't know his real name, and he says that, hey, plenty of people who voted for Obama decided to vote for Trump. I don't know if that's subjective or objective, what he's saying.
You don't know if it's true either.
Yeah.
That's just how he feels.
I do know a lot of people that voted for Bernie Sanders, during that election, that
I guess
now voted for Trump. So I
guess-
think innately it's people's want for change. The two-party system hasn't been working. The Democrats and the Republicans haven't been listening. And then it's, hey, we need to change. Whether it's Bernie Sanders or whether it's Trump, we need to change. And we need the system that will listen to us.
So
And I guess that's why
let me-
focusing on the Bible Belt,
Before,
hey, you got a whole
Let me-
group of people.
Let me get this one point in before we pivot off of that.
right.
I get it. Use them to rise to the top, but MAGA doesn't even support with their policies the Bible Belt. So I guess they just chose the most disenfranchised.
I love uneducated people.
Yeah.
Yeah, disenfranchised people to ride. Yeah, so I can see that it benefited them to ultimately help their goals. They don't represent the Bible Belt, but they use them to ride to power. So that answers my question.
So I want to know who Liberty Twitcher is, because he makes a great point. MAGA alone did not elect Trump.
Yeah.
That's a great
No
point.
group alone elected him.
Facts.
I was about to say, welcome into the stage.
Some groups that wish they could get their their electoral effort back.
Yeah.
Do over. There's a few of those groups
There are
that I
no
have the pleasure of reading about every single day.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But before that, I want to introduce you to the Medeiros Group's first marketing intern.
Okay.
And he's a Nepo baby. If you didn't notice, this is our youngest, a 17-year-old. His name is Joshua. Say hello to the people, Joshua.
Hello. Nice to meet you guys.
Hello.
Yeah. Welcome on to the Family Bloodline podcast, man.
He'll be here until mid-July. So I wanted to introduce him to you guys.
Hey, Lynn.
Yes.
Lynn, I'm glad you came on.
Before
No, hold on.
you jump into it, let me give the son a round of applause for hopping on.
It's his first podcast. So
Hey, Lynn,
Yeah.
listen to this. If I disagree with Lynn or Deuce, they're gonna fight me to the very end, and that's why I love and respect them. Hey, Stephanie,
Hey guys,
Yes.
how y'all
Now, check-
doing?
Good,
check
good.
this out. No, Liberty Twitcher.
What haircut you got today?
Say that again.
What kind of hair does Deuce have today?
she's
Let me
checking
see.
on Deuce's haircut.
I can't see it. Did you
Oh,
change
I
it?
can't see it either.
That's why you're in the shadows. That's why you're in the shadows.
I'm in the middle of nowhere on the fly right
Listen,
now.
I'm sorry to
listen.
interrupt.
Check
Chris,
this
how
out.
you doing?
So check this out. For some reason, I always know how to punch somebody's button. Liberty Twitcher. I just said, I want to know who you are, because I can look at Stephanie and Lynn. I can look at Oscar. I can look at Mr. Glass. Now, Deuce, I don't know his real name. He's got me played. I don't know his real name. He says he's in the army. Okay, I guess. But I'll read him in person. But when I asked who Liberty Twitcher was, he says, who am I? What does it matter who I am? Attack my facts, not me. No, I'm not attacking you. What I simply asked you professionally in a nonviolent, peaceful manner is, who are you? What is your real name? So that when I speak to you, I know you stand on what you were talking about.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
But
not
what did he
attacking
say?
you. I just want to know who I'm addressing. Richard, I'm just a
What
guy in the chat. Something wrong with that.
what did he say?
So when
I
a
missed it. What
person
did he
when a
say?
person has this type of face, a skull or a ghost or a demon, I don't know what that is. His teeth. So only thing I'm asking Liberty Twitcher is let us know who you are. Don't come in an alias because we have so many news people telling us this is the gospel when they have a hidden agenda. So what I'm asking Liberty Twitcher is show me who you really are. And if you can't show me who you really are, if you're gonna come on here with an alias name.
Yeah, Richard, don't run the viewers off, man.
No.
I'm just asking who he is.
I want to say this. I want to say this to offer some.
He done gave us the most engagement.
I want to run. I
Hey,
want
some
to say
people
this
are a
to
little
give some
shy.
nuance to his message.
Well,
right?
hey,
So
Liberty Twitcher,
don't
Lynn and
come
Jay
to me,
Glass
Richard.
has backed you
Don't
up, so I'm
out
gonna
to
back
me,
up.
Richard. Don't
Jesus.
be loud with me. Your megaphone voice, man. My voice not as strong as yours. I'm gonna say this real quick.
I just when people talk to me, I want to know who they are.
I'm gonna
Because
focus on
here's the
nuance.
thing: a person can go on the internet and
He
look me
still
up
did it.
and see what I'm stand for. You know, I can probably Google Oscar, get his whole name, and Google him, but I can't Google Liberty Twitcher. If I want some financial advice, I can Google Stephanie and then Medeiros at the Medeiros Group and get the information because they stand on what they're talking about. If I can't really Google Mr. Glass, but I know him. Well, I know him.
So,
But I
this is
can't
what
Google Liberty Twitcher.
I get what you're saying, but let me offer some nuance because you said Obama voters voted for Trump. Don't blame it on racism. I think the racism still in there, but also sexism.
There you go.
Trump is the Democratic Party put up 2 women. I'm not taking anything from the women. They're women. America, we
Not
were
ready.
for a black president. We weren't ready for a female president. It is what it is. The numbers support that.
I think even on the side of the Latino voters, because plenty of Latinos voted for Trump, right? We have to realize where that demographic is coming from.
Let's talk about
this. Because the geopolitics of Latin America is an important thing to think about.
Yeah.
So you will have Venezuelans that have been naturalized in the United States that will vote Trump. They will vote conservative because they have seen governments that have been liberal, right? Same with Nicaraguans. Nicaraguans most likely will vote that way. You'll look at Cubans. Cubans will most likely vote that way as well. But then you also have countries that have had regimes that are more right-wing dictatorships that they'll vote left because of that's where they come from. They go, hey, the right is the people that enslaved me and made me flee my country, so I'm going to vote left. So that's why one thing you'll see a lot of politicians do is they'll cater to specific Latino groups and say the Latinos are voting in favor of us. But the reality is some Latinos are voting for you, not all Latinos. It depends where their families were originally from and where they have families still.
Latinos are not a monolith. That makes sense.
Yeah. But it also just as always, it's the squeaky wheels that always get the grease. So a lot of the rhetoric that we heard, unfortunately, was in favor for candidate Trump at the time. Now, conversely, after 100 days in, we heard a lot of the rhetoric shift course, right? And it began to sound different. But even with that being said, the question is, because a lot of what Liberty was saying is absolutely true, and it's right. And then to Deuce's point, also, those are relevant points and facts too. But I don't want to get away from the horrific actions of the monster on June 14th in Minnesota, my birthday, right? Where is that going to put us as a country within the next few months once the trial begins to be publicized by multiple different media outlets? And I understand your point also, Richard, as far as it's not being able to get the truth and nobody being objectively factual, right? I get that, but how is this going to shape the face of America in the near future? And is it a pivot? Is it a shift away from a lot of the ridiculous proponents that are coming out of the administration, especially this bill?
So wait a minute. I'm gonna go back to Liberty Twitcher because he wants to.
Let me go to this chat,
Going
man.
on. He
What's
wants
he
the spotlight.
saying?
I'm gonna put it on him. So his last text that he put up. See, he must think that I'm a Democrat. He doesn't know who I am.
He might.
I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a Republican.
Same here.
He is correct on this. Now, he says, don't judge me for the things that I say. Just judge the facts. First of all, I'm not judging you. But even if I was judging you, I wouldn't know how to judge you because I don't know who you are. So you can't run from who you are. So when you go on some podcast or on Facebook in an alias name, you lose all your credibility. At least with President Trump, whether you like him or not, he tells you this is who I am, depending on the matter, depending on the time of the day, and the last person that talked to him.
I was about to say
I want to say his last point was talking about. I mentioned that Democrat as it relates to. Wait. Everyone knows that the Democratic Party stands for letting men compete in women's sports. Don't assume that didn't hurt Kamala. Which, okay, I can concede that. However, Biden is Democratic, and he beat Trump, a white man. Two white men went at it. So while there's an element of truth in his statement, I think a bigger truth is a lot of men across different ethnicities couldn't fathom the ideal of having a woman.
There you go. Ding, 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 ding.
Yeah.
That's it.
Right. Deuce, you're right.
That's it.
Let me say this to Liberty Twitcher.
Now you done scared him away. I got
the message. I got the message. I'll stop contributing. So I would say to Liberty Twitcher, Lynn and Mr. Glass, who owns the show, backed you up. So you don't have to go anywhere. Here's the second thing. When you say, I got the message, I'll stop contributing, that's saying you'll stop competing in our great country. No, we don't want you to quit. We want you to stay fired up.
Yeah, keep pushing back.
Yep.
Because I don't want you to say that, I tried to overshadow you or dominate you. I simply ask you, who are you? That's
I don't think he's gonna tell his homies that you dominated him. I don't think.
But you know what? This is hold on. I'm glad he came on. And I'll tell you why. Because Mr. Glass said tonight we're talking about the assassinations and what's that say about our country. Liberty Twitcher is showing us what it says about our country. Our country has been this way from the very founding of this country. Well, after the Native Americans founded it first, okay? After that, and then after the Mexicans and all that.
After the Spaniards.
After all that, it became, well, not we, because my family came over as enslaved Africans, so I didn't come over happily. Okay, after all of that.
You didn't come over on the Mayflower? You didn't come over on the Mayflower?
Crazy.
I wish.
Looking for religious freedom and taxation with representation. You didn't do that?
Hold on. He was saying that, hey, I got the message. I'll stop contributing. What he's really saying is, I don't want to tell you who I am. And that's what America's problem is. America doesn't want to really tell you who they are. But this current president told you who he was.
I disagree.
I don't think that's what he's saying at all. I think some pretty good nuanced points. Right?
Yeah.
I don't think
he has an opinion, and opinions aren't right or wrong. That's how that's his opinion.
I think that's
some of his facts. Some Obama voters did vote for Trump. That's a fact.
Yeah. I think that's really the beauty of our country and has been for many, many, many years until more recently in this climate of politics that we have now. Is my example is that everybody I surround myself with, I always try to surround myself with people that have opposing views than I do. Right? So a lot of my close friends and allies are people that voted Trump. I didn't vote Trump, but I respect their right because they can show me something and teach me something and why they vote a certain way. What are we forgetting? What is in our blind spot? What are we failing as a society, whether it's politically or whether it's economically, whatever it is? I learn and I'm sharpened by people that have differing opinions. And I think we have to keep that going, right?
Yeah.
Enough of this, like hiding behind something, going online and bombarding people, or like even getting to the point where, here's one point I always make to people. If we're so much for sovereignty of states and federalism, right? then why are Californians caring so much about what happens in Texas? Because then when Texans start talking crap about California, they're like, oh, they should keep them to themselves, right?
Yeah.
It's like you can't have it both ways. People have opinions, but you shouldn't try to sway the way people vote in certain states.
Oscar, that's the hypocrisy of both parties.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, when President Trump says, I got to send the National Guard in to protect LA, well, that's big government, isn't it? Oh, but in this particular case, in this particular situation, it's okay for big government to get involved.
Yeah.
So when big government got involved in the civil rights situation in the 1960s, certain European Americans down south were having a heart attack.
Yeah, and I thought the Republicans were the party of small government, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big person of small government. You know, the
Yes.
smaller the government, the less abuse there will be because there's less power that one man will hold or a certain group of men will hold, or women or whatever it is in the future. It's important to realize that we are the United States of America, right?
Yes.
So we as voters have the right to vote what we want in California, just like Texas has the right to vote in Texas, just like Virginia was in Virginia. And the problem is that we have this mass machine, you know, the internet, that tries to persuade people to vote a certain way or dissuade people or do these certain things. I don't necessarily believe in that. I think people vote the way they want to vote in those states, and we should just let them govern themselves.
Oh, right? That's interesting. I'm on the
but you're not
the other end of the spectrum. I'm left of you. If you're point center, I'm left of that. Not all the way, but Lynn, I know you were about to say something. Interesting.
Unless it's very key things of like civil liberties and stuff like that. That's a whole different ballgame. That's definitely a federal thing that I think that should be protected.
Yeah.
But other minor things in states, let the states figure it out.
What I laugh at is the inconsistency of this leadership. Where we want to bring in big government to handle something that don't even need to be handled.
Only when it
keep it real. I don't know how many of y'all been to LA. I've been to LA. That was 3 or 4 blocks.
Yeah.
Right. 3 or 4 blocks.
Right.
But the same inconsistent leadership is shutting down FEMA.
Yeah.
By the fall.
Yeah. Wow.
So we don't need big government for disasters.
No.
But we need big government for ice raids.
Yeah.
And you know what?
And I just need some consistency from leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't. You're not finding it here with this regime. I saw a parade where there were more people marching than sitting in the stands.
So check this out. Hey, check this out.
Right, and walking and marching, but nobody in the stands. You spent $50 million to send 28 tanks from Texas to the district to break up the streets and create more need for infrastructure in the district. And for what? Yeah. This is the party that was supposed to be looking for fraud and waste and abuse.
Yeah. Hold on.
You wasted $45 million?
When you put a master marketer into office,
who's that?
He got to
I wouldn't say he's a master marketer.
No.
Listen me out on this. He had a show on TV that had a great ratings.
Yes.
That's one show. He bankrupted 4 casinos.
Hold on. I'm not going to disagree with you. Because, you know, when it comes to...
My intern can run a casino.
Hold on.
Profitably.
Wait a minute. I want everybody to mark the calendar. I am not disagreeing on Lynn regarding President Trump's business acumen. I'm referring to the show side of him that got him elected. The marketing. So if you think that every day you turn on TV, you're going to get the same President Trump, you're not. Yep. It's going to be all over the place because that's how he's run his life. That's all I'm saying.
Inconsistent.
I'm going to
inconsistent.
I'm going to use a Richardism. I got you. You ran right into it. I was waiting for that. Because that goes back to like some of the question that I was asking. Leadership has to be the consistency that's shown and felt and understood when everything else is chaotic. Leadership can't be the chaos
Yeah.
and out front.
What's the
Le-
definition of leadership in the military?
oh my God, that's so Jesus Christ, man! You finna make
Provide purpose, direction, and motivation.
yeah,
Yeah.
P6-0, right?
Yep.
And that's what a commander in chief should bring.
Right, but the unfortunate part about it all is that I understand the point that's being made about this marketing genius, his marketing prowess, but I want to remind you all of his bankruptcies. So if you include that in his marketing strategy, if he did it on purpose to promote himself, well then okay, I will give you that. But if he did it and it was actually he was finna do it and it was actually a failed thing, right? Well then let's call a spade a spade. The
Gotcha.
consistencies.
I got you.
I think two
Because
things.
Americans live, and listen, Lincoln verify this. He probably
Yeah.
knows the numbers like the back of his hand. Americans live paycheck to paycheck. Donald Trump is no different. So a lot of Americans saw themselves in Donald Trump. Divorce,
Wait.
scandals.
What? No, sir. No,
I can't
sir.
agree with that.
Gotcha.
No. I know
No.
what you're saying. I understand where you're going with that.
I
But
don't.
possible. I've never made. Let me think about this carefully because I don't want to lie. I don't have a cool $1 million sitting in my bank account. I can't say I've never made $1 million, but I don't have a cool $1 million to own McDonald's sitting in my bank account. So I can't identify economically, socioeconomically, and
Yeah.
politically with a person who's born with $1 million in their bank account. The only thing that we can agree on directly is that, listen, in order for us to walk, we have to put one foot in front of the other. Because those are the lenses we can actually see through. And if we have to begin to learn how to agree with each other, we can start on those points of commonality. But as far as my social economic makeup is concerned, I'm not saying it can't happen. But it's not
49.8% of America said that Donald Trump feels like them.
I don't think they were talking about
49.8%,
economically.
which rounds to 50, so half of America, though those are the
Yeah.
exact numbers. 49.8 rounds to 50.
Yeah.
sure.
50. So half
Yeah.
of America feels like Donald Trump, the other half feels like former President Joe Biden.
That
Yeah.
what you're saying is that
So what does
50%.
that really tell you about your country when your former president had mentally declined so greatly? His debate on June whatever that date was, at 24, they purposely had the debate so early so the Democratic Party could show that he ain't the guy. We got to get him up out of here. Okay. Now,
Yes.
I don't believe that.
okay, go ahead.
I don't believe that because you didn't have enough time to replace him.
They knew that.
Well, then you didn't. Then that's not a setup. I mean, you don't plan stupidity, do you? Hey, I'm a plan to get there.
If you
not have enough time to switch up. Listen, this is why Gavin Newsom didn't jump in. Now, if you had given Gavin enough time, he would be our president right now.
Okay, so Lynn,
Thank you, Lynn. Thank you.
Lynn,
What you needed to do was ride Deuce's dude. You needed to continue to ride that white guy all the way to, and we would be in the same place. Right?
Lynn and Bears, we were agreeing. I said, well, how long can me and Lynn keep agreeing? That's fine. Crash. Reality. Real America.
No.
See, I live in California, and I know you know what?
Listen, conspiracy theorists.
No. I live in California, and the reason why I got removed from my position was because of Gavin Newsom.
Rich, you're talking
What about Gavin Newsom? What I'm telling you was there was no plan. The plan was to ride with the guy who beat him before.
Yeah.
That was the plan. Then he had a bad night, and we bailed on him.
No.
Yep.
Yes.
I have to.
We bailed on him.
I have to respectfully listen to this. I have to respectfully disagree on this matter because they knew. This is the crazy thing. When he took office in 20, by 21, 22, they knew that Biden didn't have it, and somehow somebody on the inside got that information to the Republicans. So when the Republicans were attacking Biden for not being mentally all there, and he wasn't running the country, this particular situation, the Republicans were right.
Oh,
That
No,
particular
How
side.
did Biden do on his State of the Union last year? He killed it. And then they were saying he was coked up. He was this,
Yeah.
he was that, he was the other.
Yeah.
He killed them
He killed it.
at
Hey,
his final State of the Union.
hey, you know what? Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. And I'm not
killed
even
him.
80. I'm not even 80 some years old. So sometimes when I wake up at the age of 56, oh, I'm ready. And other days, oh, I ain't got it.
Right.
Yeah,
So you
but
got,
both
like
of
I
you
said,
did.
the guy had a
both of
bad
y'all-
night.
both of y'all
Halliburton
are
went
right.
0 for 6 the other night. Now he's
Both-
trash.
Both of y'all are right,
Right?
though, because at the debate, leading into the debate, the Democrats knew Biden's state of mind.
Not
However, the
all of
game
them.
plan
Not
was
all of them.
No,
Not all of them.
some key
Because there was a
players.
conspiracy to conceal that, right?
Some key players knew.
So
right?
we can't have it
Some
both
people
ways.
knew.
People
But-
knew.
They decided to ride with him, knowing the rhetoric going on, because he beat him before. Who else we got? Let's ride with him.
And then they
And
didn't.
then he had a bad night, and they were like,
And
"Yo,
he had a bad night and they didn't.
so
trade
I'm
him."
Look, get Halliburton out the playoffs. He went
yikes.
0 for 6, get him out.
Yikes. I'm going
Trade
to
him.
I'm going to speak to this comment right here that says, thank you for continuously engaging with us there, Liberty. Trump intuitively knows how to communicate with common people in ways few politicians ever have. I'm not complimenting him. I'm recognizing it. What I will say to that,
Con
Yeah.
man. He's the con man.
look, look, a narcissist knows how to love bomb people in the correct way. And that's how they trap folks.
Con man. The
Yeah.
long con.
Yeah, I've never met a person who's run into a narcissist initially and wasn't actually sucked in to how they actually operate. It's very simple to do. And when America got sucked in, be it 50% into that narcissistic rhetoric that was being pushed out, that was foundationally fear-based and unfactual, well, it's impossible to get out of that love bombing until the narcissist shows you, I don't need you anymore. And that's exactly.
America was that girl under the bleacher
Oh,
getting talked to by that teenage boy.
right.
You know, he's saying everything he need to say
Yeah.
to get them draws.
GTD.
And then once he GTD,
Right.
done.
And listen. Hey, and for all the ladies who watch, we are not male chauvinists. So
We're
know
not.
some women. Look, we know there were some women that was
We're
telling
not.
the man everything he needed to hear so she
Oh,
could
yeah.
get some.
So she can get half. Absolutely.
Now we're eating.
Ladies,
All right,
I-
so now we
Hold
get
on,
fair.
let me reach out to the gay community because I know don't want to talk a lot of stuff into the gays and non-binary and transgender. You get the same respect, except we don't believe it. Well, I don't believe that trans girls should play women's
Let me
sports.
put
I
my-
speak
The
individually for
disclaimer.
myself.
Put my disclaimer up.
I think Liberty. I agree with Liberty Twitcher there because Trump is a. I had this debate and I lost it and I had to go back and research it. A partner of mine said Trump's a great orator, a great
He is.
orator. I disagree because his vernacular
Kamala
is so
crushed him.
limited.
Kamala
But
crushed him.
she's a great debater. Trump is able to, like Liberty said, he uses the language of the common man. That's
Mm.
what they can identify with. He's able to move the masses.
Yep.
Thus, it
You
makes
said
him a great orator.
common man or con man? I missed that.
Both.
Common man or con
Both.
man?
I'm here's the sad
Hold on,
truth.
wait a minute. Hey, Lynn. Speaking of con man, at least Donald Trump tells us his name. See, you can't go on. You can't go on this podcast or go
I'm
on
not
someone's
Liberty's
social
lawyer.
media and the
I'm
alias
not his
name.
attorney.
No.
I'm not his attorney. I'm not.
What's
Rich.
saying, Oscar?
Liberty, I got to help defend you here. No.
Yes, please.
What I was going to say is the sad truth, and when it comes down to it, is yes, he's a good orator in the sense that he speaks to the common man. I think the problem that a lot of more on the Democratic side is they push too heavy of education. Too Democrats tend to be a little bit too highbrow, like university. That's why there's a big attack on universities right now as well. This big thing, right? It's because the fact, again, we're going back to the hurt of the American core. And the hurt of the American core is we have this world that is vastly changing at rapid rates. We got China that's buying up ports, China that's getting up there in technology. You talk about technology when it comes to military stuff like that. We're living in this chaos that is happening around the world, not even having to mention Iran and Israel. And with all this stuff going on, people feel like they have no control. And then when you have a guy that speaks to their hurt, a guy that speaks to like giving them a bright kind of, light through the tunnel,
But Oscar,
they go for it. They buy it.
Is he speaking to that now, or did he speak to it to get elected?
I think he spoke to get elected. I think,
he spoke to it, but what's he speaking now?
Now he's
he ain't speaking to nobody now. Now he's all
attacking a lot of the programs that.
Now he's all over. Now he's all over the place with the nonsense.
Yeah.
He said what he needed to say to get elected.
Here's the one thing: the tactic that he has not changed from round one is what Bannon basically said in one of the interviews. You bombard the media with as much garbage as you possibly can, and they won't know where the hell to pinpoint what you're talking about. So by the time they figure something out, you're already 20 steps ahead on some other thing that's happening, and you're undermining whether it's Congress and undermining the powers and structures of the constitutional powers. The media can't keep up, and the media loves
the zone. Is what
you flood it, and the media loves it. Yeah. So I'm one of those people that says not everything he does is bad, but not everything he does is good. Right.
Yeah.
Oscar, I got one point. When you say he appealed to the Bible Belt, I started to think, and I'm looking at Liberty's Richard's thing. Don't fully agree with that last comment, but it made me think. You said Bible Belt, and then you talked about the Democrats. The Republican Party has a great idea of what the American male is supposed to look like. The Democrats do not. When you said elitists, like the educated, yes, they have that. What a liberal woman's supposed to look like, yes. What a Democratic man, not at all.
You calling us metrosexuals? Is that what you're doing?
That's what they say, metrosexual, right? It's not manly. So I think that's who Trump appealed to, because he's a man's man, right?
But
the Democratic Party doesn't have anybody.
It goes again to like what happens when there's chaos in the world. You want a strong man.
Yeah.
You want a guy that's going to stand up to every other country that's holding us back, right? We don't want China to get ahead. We don't want this country to get ahead. Yeah. It's a dog world out there, and you need a strong man. And I don't necessarily believe that.
Day one,
right?
Russia, Ukraine, day one. Wasn't that a day one thing?
No more new wars.
No wars. No wars on my watch.
No more.
He didn't say which day one.
Oh, he didn't say which day one. My bad.
Maybe
my bad.
Where I'm from, in December.
Where I'm from, day one is the first day.
Yeah, and I mean anybody that's
1,500 people on day one.
Yeah,
he did that.
Anybody that's seasoned in government would probably be able to tell you that wars don't stop day overnight. Like there's no possibility.
But people believe them.
These things are geopolitical.
People chose to believe them and vote for them based off of that crap.
That's 100%.
That's the horrible part.
What is in regards to this? Is President Trump an enthusiastic bird watcher? You think that's what he is?
A bird watcher? I don't.
An enthusiastic bird watcher who believes in liberty. Do you think that's what President Trump is?
First
I don't get the reference.
I can't say he believes in liberty. So, but go ahead.
So, but do you think he's a bird watcher? He just watches from afar and he makes comments, but you don't really know what he's saying or what he's talking about.
No, I think he's
a con man. Keep it real. He is a con man. He wakes up every day and says, well, "Who do I have to say what to get what I want?" And that's what he's going to say.
Well, wait a minute. Hold on. You know what, Lynn? I'm not going to disagree with you, but I thought that's the foundation of our country.
No, that's the foundation of politics.
Hold on.
If you're going to be a politician, you need to get ready to stand in front of people and tell them what they want to hear.
That is the foundation of this country. They're telling King George, we ain't paying no taxes, and we want our religious freedom, and we're just as good as you. But these enslaved Africans, they're not as good as us.
They're 3/5.
These Mexicans and these Native Americans, they're not as good as us. That's the con game they ran.
That wasn't a con game.
Liberal tonight.
That wasn't a con game. That was the way it was.
Facts. Yeah.
Look, slavery, listen, don't get it twisted. Slavery was legal.
Yes.
Yeah. It wasn't a con game. No fire.
It wasn't against the law. It was legal.
Wait a minute. Most great cons are legal. The Electoral College, that's a con game. But it's legal.
It's
Until-
not a game.
man.
That's the way that's the Monopoly game.
Until the words "all
What's that
men are
the same
created
thing?
equal."
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Well, the
Wait,
reason why I said
which
bird
people are we
watching-
talking about?
Exactly.
The guy with the land over there, the white dude.
Yeah.
Listen. I'm the insurance guy here. I had to explain to a couple of people. Let me tell you what slave owners could do. Your
Mm,
slave was your property.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
You could get a policy on your slave.
yeah.
If you was hard up for cash, you could take your slave out back and kill him or her, and then say they were running away or whatever happened. And guess what? Your insurance claim was going to be settled.
Oh, for real?
Because slaves were property.
I knew that, but I didn't think about the insurance part of it.
Oh yeah. Jay, you remember that article I sent you about that?
I
And a
do.
lot of banks
Right.
and a lot of insurance companies today have
Right.
dirty hands from
Yes.
those transactions.
Because I want
If you wanted to, you
Right.
could set fire to your entire hut of slaves.
right,
Come on,
They would
man.
die and get your insurance claim.
Lynn, when they
Yo.
try to get off subject for a second, when they try to say they don't know how many enslaved Africans were brought to America, I said, well, look at the insurance papers. That'll tell you.
There you go. There you go.
That's great. That's a great
I'm
point.
hard up for cash. I can throw a couple of them overboard and file a claim.
Wow.
My weak,
Man.
and disabled, my Down syndrome slaves,
Get them
I
out.
can kill them and get some cash.
But wait, now if I'm the insurance company, I'm asking you, well, why'd you even grab them anyway? You knew they weren't no good.
No, you
lost his
ain't.
name.
No, you're not. No, you're not, because the claim adjuster, it ain't his money. So he don't care.
You're right.
He don't care. And he certainly don't care about 3/5 of a person.
He get paid the same
Wait a minute.
regardless.
That's it.
Well, listen to this. Not only are you property, you're not even a whole person. The horse has a
Right.
better chance than you have. The dog has a better chance.
That is
And
correct.
that's a legal con. A legal con.
The North
Well,
gets that,
that's
yeah.
not a
North
con.
gets
That's
that.
what I'm saying. That was the game.
No.
Yeah.
But the game is a con, but you legalize the con. So if you say, well, hey, ladies, I want you to have sex with me. I'm trying to get with you. How do I legalize the con? Let's do a porno video. As long as you're 18, you can pass this test, and you can pass the test and all that. You on? That's still a con, but you legalized it. So it's still. So when I look at President Trump, he is so in your face with his Southern disposition. This is who I am. Get over it. And he has that New York mindset. I'm going to get mine first. So I can't really get mad at him. But again, I've always said, show me a European American with wealth that you can tell what to do. They may smile at you and say, oh, thank you, Mr. Brown. We really appreciate your opinion. And then when I leave the room, get this black ass out of here.
There's a fine one. There's a fine European American I know, Newsom.
Oh Lord Jesus Christ. Final thoughts. I don't even know why you would do that, dudes. What the
That's fine. Look,
Look,
you know what? Dudes
look.
and Liberty. See, Liberty
that
Twitcher is a bird watcher, an enthusiastic bird watcher. That's the definition of a Twitcher.
in
That's
that
why I
game,
brought it up. A bird watcher who's watching enthusiastically, but you don't know who they're rooting for.
at Deuce, in that game, Newsom is, and this is a Trumpism. He says this all the time. Newsom is right out of central casting. Tell me he's not.
No.
Look,
Facts.
you don't believe me? Richard, do a data dump on the CEOs of the Fortune 500. 8 out of 10 of them are white males, 6 feet or taller.
Yeah.
Again,
That's central casting for leadership.
when me and Lynn Medeiros agree,
Yes.
you know that's trouble. You know that's trouble. You can take that to the bank and bet on it.
Big glass the system about to crash.
He's
Yeah,
right. I'm
absolutely.
not to challenge that. Yeah.
Liberty. That was me taking a shot at Richard. That was that's an inside thing there.
But listen, if y'all think the way you're talking about Donald Trump as the president, Gavin Newsom is really on the left. He's really the same person, but he presents it differently. I've lived in California long enough, and I've gone through his nonsense. And when he found out I would not give him any money to fight his recall, he had me removed from office. If whoever's watching this, if you said, "Well, no, you're defaming Governor Newsom," then sue my black ass.
Oh Lord. Okay, so final thoughts. Oscar, this is your first time on a Family Bloodline podcast.
It is my first time.
you can your final thoughts don't have to have anything to do with what we talked about, what we covered, anything of that nature. It could just be on what happened to you today, or you can actually. So I know my brother in real life, and we've been able to hang out for a while. So you can give us, you can shed some light on a couple of things and give us some deep foundational parting words, or simply rehash what we talked about in your own words. It's up to you.
Oh man, that's a lot of spotlight there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I basically wanted to come on to the show just because I, heard you guys having a great conversation. And me, I'm passionate about politics. I consider myself more centrist and a constitutionalist, and wanted to say what's up. So here I am.
All right.
Yeah.
That can be your final thought.
In the next episodes and stuff like that, maybe I'll get into a little bit about like my past and expertise and stuff like that, and
That'll be good.
Explore that a bit. Yeah.
That'll be good. Yeah. So make sure that this ain't your last time on. I'm gonna keep pushing Tim. I'm gonna send him a message. To come on to the podcast, man.
Oh,
I
boy.
keep him on.
My rival on the internet, huh?
The nemesis.
My nemesis. Hey, he's my Joker. I'm the Batman to his Joker, man. Like,
hey, all right. I'm gonna keep pushing that brother to get on. So I think it'll be a great discussion. So, thank you for your final thoughts. Next up, Lynn, your final thoughts.
Well, I'm enjoying my last summer vacation with my son.
Wow.
Because in January he turns 18. And one of the things that I'm talking to him about a lot is leadership. And I've been talking to him about the things that happened in my life that opened up doors for leadership. Two of them that come to mind is, and I think I talked about this before, but when I was in boot camp, there was a crazy song on the radio called Amadeus. Remember that song?
Yeah.
And I had two company commanders, one black, one white. And the black one loved the song to death. So he changed my name to Amadeus. But he also made me his third squad leader. And that was a great introduction to leadership for me in the military, because I had to eat last, but then be out in front of the chow hall first, so my squad knew where to line up. And I had to do some great things that really helped me grow into the person that I am today. Another one that happened to me in high school was my cousin Kirk Medeiros got in trouble with the principal, and the principal realized that there was another Medeiros in his school, so he looked me up, and he saw that I had 6 A's and a B, but he didn't know who the heck I was. So he summoned me to his office, and he lectured me on the fact that I should know who he was and he could help me. He's the one that got me into the officer program in the Navy. But after our meeting in his office, which I never wanted to go to, but I had a pretty good meeting with him after he dressed me down, he walked me out to the main office, and he parked me in front of a xylophone and a microphone. And he said, from this point forward, you will do the morning announcements for the rest of the school year. And that literally changed my life. That was another leadership opportunity. So what I want to say to everyone is leadership comes in so many different forms and has so many different faces. And you just have to be open to the possibility, because I would have never, connected that stupid song on the radio to an opportunity to become a leader. Because I don't think he would have promoted me to squad leader if my name was Jones or Smith or whatever. But because I had a name that was similar to his favorite song on the radio at that moment, I got a leadership opportunity. And sometimes that's just all it takes. And you walk through that door and you just never know what can happen. So that's my final thought. Leadership. You just never know how it'll hit you.
I love that. That's good. Rich, what you got?
So I'm going to piggyback off of Mr. Medeiros. because I was writing my stuff down, and then he started saying it. I said, okay, then that's how it's going to be tonight. So tonight was about assassinations. Is this a reflection of the country? What we're really saying is this a reflection of leadership? And as Mr. Medeiros said, then Medeiros at the Medeiros Group, I think they're in Houston, Texas.
Yep.
I'll say this. A lot of people talk about leadership, but you don't know what you will do until you're put into the situation. When I was elected president of Local 1021 in the historic 5-candidate election where I beat the incumbent who had been there for 13 straight years, and they wanted me to sign off on an agreement to make all state employees represented by Local 1000 make them get vaccinated. I said no. It's not. I didn't say that during my campaign, and when I showed my leadership by keeping my integrity. When I said we wouldn't get involved in politics, they quickly had an emergency meeting before I took office to give Governor Newsom, $1 million to SAI. They gave $1 million to SAIU State Council so he could fight his recall. Because they knew when I took office, he wasn't getting his money. Because some people, when they run for office, most politicians, about 9 out of 10, they'll tell you one thing to get elected, but once they're elected, they do something else for the donors who got them elected. I didn't have any donors. I had to financially finance my own campaign for 2015, 2018, and successfully in 2021. So no one could pull my coat strings. So when we talk about leadership, it is subjective, but it really talks about your integrity on what you will do versus what you won't do. And it's easy to judge other leaders until you're put into that position to find out what you will do. I didn't have the good fortune as Lynn Medeiros to have people in school or things like that kind of be a mentor. No, I'm not, and I'm not saying that.
I know what you mean. I'm with you, Richard. I'm with you.
So, I didn't have that. But the one thing I had was hope in a higher power. Now, did I get that honestly? No, I didn't. I was raised that way. I was raised to believe in God through Jesus Christ. I could have been raised to be a Muslim. I could have been raised to practice Judaism. I could have been raised in a lot of different religious doctrinations. But this is how I was raised. This is what I know. And that's that hope that inspired my leadership that one day I could help people obtain substantial financial wages in a period of time, absent of management abuse. It's just that simple. It's just that quick. But when people talk about leadership, you have different types of leaders. Some leaders are very quiet. They don't do a lot of talking, but when they do talk, duck, because they mean business. Other leaders are more charismatic. I think of President Obama, very charismatic. I think of President Trump, opposite ends of the spectrum, but their ability to talk and to inspire and to make people believe that they're one of them is off the chart. President Clinton doesn't get his respect. He had that great gift too. Leadership is very subjective. And so what I would say tonight, whatever you're doing, you're probably a leader and you don't even recognize it. So let us recognize everyone to being a leader, whether it's on a huge scale or on a small scale. If you're able to stay drug-free, don't let alcohol destroy you, don't have so many kids that you can't take care of, you pay your bills, you're financially disciplined, let me tell you something. A person like that, that's a real leader. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Richard. And so my final thoughts are a bit simple. I'm not going to talk about leadership. I'm going to leave that for another time as I draw down my 27 years in the United States Army. I'll talk about that at another time. 28 August, my last day in this fine institution. And I cannot wait. But that's another story for another time. What I will say tonight for final thoughts is it's always a pleasure watching the extension of the family bloodline push forward. I am so happy that your son came on, Lynn, that the extension of you. Oscar, my brother, I'm so happy that you decided to hop up. I know you were in and out earlier, but thank you for taking the time to stop by. And as always, Richard, thank you for being a part of the panel. And Deuce, I know he dropped off because his phone probably died. But the ability for us to, and Liberty, I'm not leaving you out either, but the ability for us to actually have a space, an area to have discussions, whether we agree or disagree, and then even at the end of the night, everybody's still alive. Everybody's able to wake back up in the morning and hopefully be more impactful tomorrow than what you were today because of the conversations we were able to have. That's the whole point of the Family Bloodline podcast. I learn every time we're on here, and I'm so happy that we are able to do this, to share this space. So those are my final thoughts. And with that being said, as always, we thank everybody for hanging out with us. Thank y'all for lending us your fingers and your voices. And as always, we definitely appreciate you. And we will be back tomorrow with another topic. It's an easy topic tomorrow, right? We will figure it out in the wash to see exactly what we want to talk about, but it ain't gonna be politics. It might just be Juneteenth. We might do a little education on Juneteenth, and dig into it a little bit deeper. That's not a bad idea. It is the 19th, right?
Yeah,
So
I'll be making my post tomorrow on Juneteenth.
Say that again.
I'll put up a Facebook post on my opinion of Juneteenth.
Okay.
And Richard, I'll be 57 on Friday.
There it is.
I'm going to leave you in the 56 club.
You're on
the
last day of Gemini.
I know where I am, babe. I know. You know, also a great thing about that, I've had a Father's Day about at least a half dozen times in my life. My birthday on Father's Day.
Oh, wow.
And I was born on Father's Day, June 15th, 69. So this last Sunday was...
you turned 56.
I turned 56.
Okay.
So it's kind of a special day.
So I'm your elder.
Yes.
So you should respect your elder moving forward.
Wait.
There should be less disagreements now moving forward because we just established that I am your Gemini elder.
Your sales technique. And here's the funny thing. President Trump is...
I know. June 14th.
So we can't escape who we are.
Look, it's Flag Day. For me, that's Flag Day. That ain't his birthday. It's Flag Day.
It's my birthday.
It's Big Glass's birthday.
Yes. June 14th.
And it's Flag Day.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So as always, folks, thank y'all for coming out. We appreciate you. God bless. And
Oscar's coming back. And Lynn's coming back. I know Lynn's coming back, but Oscar's going to come back.
Hey,
Come back.
Come join us, man. This is a part of the Wednesday night thing. It's great. It's great interaction. All right. So, all right. Thank you all for coming out. God bless and good night.